depending on depending, it very well could be. So excited for another day. In March and 70-mile-per-hour winds. And you already know that I've had 2 trees fall through my fence before.
Is there any
left?
left?
Now I'm worried. Yeah, there's like tons left, dude. I have like 5 more trees in my yard. Are you kidding? 1, 2, 3. I have like maybe more than that. It might be like 6 or 7 trees in my yard. And several behind my fence that belong to the property behind. I'm screwed.
You're just going to hope that you have some better luck. You got to have some better luck because...
And then it falls the other way this time?
Or does... I mean, just look, if... There's a very good chance. Hopefully, nobody has to do, but somebody listening or whatever is going to have lose their power. Sounds like somebody's going to have a tree go down. Like you don't know who it is. You hope it's not you, right?
Tree goes through my fence tomorrow. I will not be at work. I'll be dealing with that nonsense again.
It's weird. We're going to get 4 seasons in the next like 24 hours or so, and the 2 inches of snow maybe, but a blizzard still because it's going to be 70-mile-per-hour winds. So it's going to be kind of crazy, kind of be a weird night and maybe a dangerous one in Kansas City as well. But let's start with some baseball where they're out in beautiful Surprise, Arizona, where the weather's not a problem or anything like that. And we were talking about some of the pieces that you can count on, that there's no questions at all heading into the season. Names like Bobby Wood Jr., names like, Vinny Pasquantino, Salvador Perez, and Salvi in particular. I was trying to look at, someone like Yadier Molina for this a little bit too, because everybody now, as we get towards the end of somebody's career, the same way we did and do for Travis Kelce, how many more years left? How many more years do you have left, Salvador Perez? Last year makes you think he's got a lot left because he put together his best year in 3 years.
Correct.
So how much longer do you guys think he has?
I guess the biggest question for this is and you and I have always kind of assumed that Salvador Perez would never want to play for anybody else. The hang up in where I would just say Salvi's probably just playing another 4 years, 3 years, 5 years, right? Because the reason why I'm hesitant, I would say, to just be the normal amount based on his age and how Major League Baseball players work and catchers typically work, I don't know, a couple of years, right? Is probably the number. I think it has to relate to the production end slipping significantly. Because the one thing I'll say about Salvi is there is no indication that man ever wants to stop playing baseball. He feels like he wants to be drug off of the diamond before he is done playing baseball. And it seems like the Royals and Salvador Perez, based on that last contract, have come to this mutual understanding of you're not leaving us and we're not leaving you, at least at the moment. And so it's hard for me to imagine him leaving and playing for another team if the Royals do this. But the Royals have a lot of catching prospects. It's so many. And I get it. One of them could just be in a part-time player, a part-time position similar to that as Freddie Fermin. Mitchell's coming off the injury. Carter,
they could use him for a trade we don't even know about down the road. Who knows?
They've got real options, big league options that big league clubs covet and like. So either you're trading those guys away or you're riding out Salad for a number of years. I'm going to say 3 years. I don't know why that's the number I'm stuck on because I know they got so many other young prospects that work. You move on from one of the prospects or you teach them the outfield. You know this works. And the other guy gets in a part-time role with him, and he gets to half-life at DH, I guess, for part of it. Because unless the production slips, 3 years? Does that seem right to you?
It's not crazy. I wonder with him, you said, of course, they're hey, he would play this thing till he's 50 if he could kind of thing. Yadi's who I kind of looked at as I referenced and just, okay, how long did he do it? And, of course, at a very, very high level. Heck, even his second to last season, he was still an all-star. So it wasn't like he went out bad. Now, his last year, he only played in 78 games. But he was 39. His last real productive season, if we're being fair, was when he was 38 years old. And we know Yadi's a future Hall of Famer and somebody that, prior to his retirement, a lot of people said, of course, that was the best catcher easily in baseball. I think that's in play. It would not. Now, maybe it's not all with the Royals to kind of what you're alluding to, but to me, it's not crazy to think that Salvador Perez plays till he's 38 or 39 years old. And maybe you don't want that to. You want that to be in a Royals uniform, but is the production going to be there? Yadi was able to have even at 36 hit 270, 262, 252, and then his last season again 78 games and only hit 214. But he was still a positive WAR player. Let's see, what is that? Above 1 even 2 out of his final 4 years in the league. So he wasn't a huge liability for them. I think Salvador Perez can at least make it to 37, 38.
I think what stands out about it is that it operates very similarly to the way we talk about Travis Kelce in the sense that you might be the production slip. Well, production slip at catcher is different. Production slip, if you are Salvador Perez, is league average catcher. You can be a pretty bad. I'll just be honest. You can be a pretty bad offensive player and be a league average catcher. That's not like some offensive unit. That's why you have a distinct advantage. You have a extreme example of an offensive-minded catcher. There aren't that many of those in the league. And so when you have that, it's like you can accept more of a production slip than you would normally accept under normal circumstances. I guess a lot of this is it comes to play because I obviously think that he's one of the people who is like most likely or scares me the most, I guess is probably the way I put it, of a production slip this year because of just how good
won the
he
Silver
was.
Slugger Award last year, for crying out loud.
But he's only under contract, like fully under contract through 2025. The final year of his deal is a club option for $13.5 million, which is a small amount, I will admit, based on the fact he's making $20 million this year, $20 million next year. The $13.5 might be an easy pill to swallow. So let's just say he goes all the way through the club option. He plays through 2026. That'd be 36 years old. They're going to give him another 2-year deal? They're just, because at that point, then you're just accepting, you're not playing any of these young catchers in your system you like. And they got a lot of choices. Even some of the guys in A-ball who would be coming up around that time. They are deeper at that position than pretty much any other position in their entire system. And I'm not saying like Salvi's getting in their way because the odds of them being as good as Salvi aren't
Right.
likely, right?
And
like
so many
even at
things
this age.
happen. I mean, other injuries to other players. Salvador, where's Salvador Perez health-wise? That's the one thing. Yadier Molina was able to stay healthy when he was 37, 38, and then ultimately when he retired at 39. And so that's the ultimate key with any of these guys, the same way we talked about Travis Kelce for that matter, and whether like, hey, how is your body, what is your body telling you? And Salvador Perez,
still catching. Most
knock
people
on
don't keep catching
wood,
at
knock on
35.
wood, last year was about as good as you could ever see from a catcher at that age. And so, yeah, I think the question isn't will he play till he's 38, Cody, or 39. For me, it's will he play in a Royals uniform when he's 38 or 39? Barring some major injury setback, I don't think he's retiring from baseball before the age of 37. So, like, I
you think he's got to get another deal, or he's going to go
stay
play
in
with
Kansas
another
City.
team?
But I think he will be playing Major League Baseball when he's 37 and 38. Yes, I do believe that.
I mean, that feels. I mean, that I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah.
This year, next year, and then because I think it's like that's what I told you 3, right? So I also think he's playing in that season, but it can't be like. I mean, he's not playing till he's 40.
No, but Yachty played till. I would argue Yachty played 1 year too many. He played till he was 39, and then that last year he only played in 70-something games and was not himself. So maybe he played 1 year too many. Okay, so that's 38-year-old season. And I know we can't. Not every athlete's the same. I just hit the closest peer and comp to Salvi in recent history, of course, is Yachty. That's why I keep mentioning that.
And so, like, I guess we're going to end up viewing this thing the same way in a couple of years, which is a question I think I'd asked around Travis Kelce, and I think is fair. Because it's always fair to ask it, and you can have your different answer to it. But the same question I got to ask, which is, has Salvador Perez earned the right to retire whenever the hell he wants? As in, if he says, I'm coming back, you just pay him. And look, pay like you find a number. I'm not saying like under any circumstance.
I think the answer is yes, but there's caveats. It's okay. And do we even start seeing it this year? Is there a willingness to play more DH or play another, play other position? Hey, you're not catching 140 games or whatever this year. You're 37 years old, kind of thing down the road. I wonder if there would have to be some sort of concession there. I would think if you're going to say, hey, we're still going to do this, but like we just know you can't be a full time catcher when he's 37.
Do you think they're putting it on Travis Kelce this year? Do you think they're coming in here and saying like,
I think
there's
they
a
did last
caveat,
year.
you're not the?
I think last year I think the prior to the Rashee Rice injury, the offense, he was not going to. I mean, he ended up leading the team in targets, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. But they had a lot
that
of
wasn't
injuries.
But that's what I mean. Like, I don't think that was the plan. I don't think going into this year, Travis Kelce's plan that the offense is running through him. So I think organizations do that. Baseball's a little bit different. The only way you change it is by, hey, you're not going to catch every day for us, kind of thing. And that's not this year. We know this year that's not going to change. I don't think.
No, I think he'll catch
2 years from now, a year from now. I think that's a real conversation.
I feel, and Cody, you'd be able to speak to this, I think, better because obviously you covered the team as the insider. The physical toll of baseball, is there obviously it's different, but is it more of the 162 game thing than it is the actual physical toll? I mean, of course he's, in the catcher stance all the time and all of that stuff. How much can those things wear quicker than?
Yes, catchers wear way faster. Like it is damaging to the body. It's honestly kind of impressive he catches this many games.
Yeah.
Like it is not like, and Gold, you know this too. It's just like that is a position that is unkind to the body. But that's what also stands out. And this is like the difference between like a regular catcher and a Hall of Fame level catcher, like you mentioned, Yachty, and what we think maybe Salvador Perez will be one day, which is those guys are on the field catching. A lot of guys, Drew, what happens with some of the other great catchers you remember in your life. So you remember Pudge Rodriguez, and you're like, he's a catcher. Eventually, they play a lot more DH, or they play catcher, or not catcher. They play first base, or they move them to right field if they're good at. Like, they find other places to put those guys because after a certain age, if you are a good offensive catcher, a lot of times what happens is they still love the bat and they're interested in the bat, but they can no longer have you catch 100 and like Salvi catches 130 games, 120 games a year sometimes up until like a year ago. Like, it's a crazy number. Most guys transition into like catch 80, play some at first, which Salvi does.
Did Yachty ever switch? I think that was what was amazing about. I was trying to go through and look at his positional breakdown. He played catcher. Anytime he played, he was catching. He did not eventually transition out.
Yeah. Really rare.
I think if Salvi were to match the years played and get into 37, 38, 39, which is what Yachty did, I would wonder if he would have to. Well, I mean, especially just with the roster makeup, as you pointed out with some of the prospects. I wonder if he would have to give up some of that to maintain a Royal. Someone else on the text line said, hey, did Salvi, wouldn't he have already left if he wanted to leave? Look, we know they were very close. That was the whole topic heading into last season. That he had a heart-to-heart conversation with JJ Piccolo over a year ago.
Well, they thought they were going to trade him.
And he obviously was convinced that they had a plan, and it worked out for everybody. And now it feels like, okay,
thank God.
The only way he would leave would be if it ever reached an age thing where it's like, hey, I want to keep playing, and they don't believe that he still has it. He's got a chance to, frankly, make that decision, too. If he continues performing anywhere near what he's doing right now, well, then it'll be an easy decision in 2 years, even if they have the prospects. If Salvador Perez is still hitting the way he just did this past season, well, then it's a no-brainer. But I don't know if he's going to.
Trade these guys and find somebody else. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, he can make their decision, like you said, fairly easy in that sense, because if at no point he shows a drop-off, but that's the thing, like, Salvi's had down years in the middle of his career. And, like, offensively, where, like, they don't look as good as they did last year. Last year's one of the better offensive years he's ever had. Or he had 48 home runs, right? He certainly had years where it didn't look the same as it did last year. But the problem is, at this age, we're always just going to assume it's because he's done. Not because he just had a down year like big league players do, especially free-swinging catchers, right? But, we're just going to have to make those decisions.
Coming up again in 15 minutes, we'll talk some NFL draft with draft analyst for ESPN, Matt Miller. Get his perspective on who maybe some of the best running back fits are in the draft. Where could they see the local kid, Luther Burden, out of Mizzou go? Some drafts haven't fallen out of the first round. Does Matt Miller have that? So that's coming up in just a bit. Thinking of the Chiefs, though, this caught our attention last night, which was more backstory on why maybe the Chiefs ultimately did not bring in Donovan Smith last season. Forbes had this originally, and it's that, hey, Donovan Smith, turned out he was still recovering from a hip injury, even though on social media he acted like he was ready to go, but maybe teams clearly were concerned that he believes he had a hip injury. That's why teams didn't give him a shot, and he's healthy, and he wants to play again in 2025. We all know DJ Humphries was coming back from an injury. The Chiefs took a flyer on him. Then he got hurt in the Chargers game, and he never was given another opportunity. The more I hear about these two guys, not that they're going to be starters for multiple years necessarily, maybe DJ Humphries could. Why not just, if they both were willing to set aside their ego a little bit and say, hey, I want to play with the Chiefs. I want to have a chance to start. I'm willing to go to camp, and I want to battle this out, and I will win this job kind of thing. Sign Donovan Smith and DJ Humphries, and you just roll with it, man. That might be too simple of a solution. Like, hey,
because you got to convince those guys to get in the gladiator ring against each other.
And look, if Donovan Smith was promised a better opportunity to start somewhere else, he's going to take that over competing with DJ Humphries. I don't know if that exists, but if he were, that's the only way this works, is if Donovan Smith and DJ Humphries know no matter where they go, they have to compete, that they're not handled a job. If there's nobody else doing that, then come to Kansas City and compete. At St. Joe, we're sitting there, Cody, and it's DJ Humphries and Donovan Smith battling for the starting left tackle job.
And then if one gets hurt, great. At least you got a fallback plan, or in season you got a fallback plan if one gets hurt. I think this plan, you have to convince them this way. I'll tell you, because I don't hate the plan, as you know. God, does this include also taking a third-round pick? We're just going to, infinite number of tackles to try to sort this out? I mean, I don't hate that, because then eventually if you get the third-round pick right, you can walk on both. But you're going to have to tell. Donovan Smith's not getting a starting offer anywhere else. Okay, he's not. So Donovan Smith, wherever he goes, is either going to be the guaranteed backup between a guy who hasn't been hurt, or he's going to be in a competition with, a rookie who is more likely to get the job than him, in my opinion. Going up, but you gotta promise DJ Humphries he gets first crack. The job is yours now.
You're yours to lose, kind of thing.
Yeah, yours to lose. You're in the competition, but you're the favorite in the competition, okay? We're not trying to just get and you almost borderline guarantee you're only really losing this job if you get hurt. You stay healthy, you play DJ, you're good. You're the starting left tackle for this team. It's a competition, but like really only for like who can get to the end of training camp and not be like in a wheelchair, right? Because both of those guys have had injury problems, and both those guys are getting older. Donovan Smith obviously older than DJ Humphries. But it's like I think Donovan Smith's a year or two older than DJ Humphries.
You're saying you bring them in
Donovan
for
Smith Donovan Smith will turn 32 in June.
Well, it's only a year.
And
year
DJ
older.
Humphries, I think is 30 or something. Let's see, DJ Humphries, he'll turn
31, I think.
He's 31 now. I don't know when his.
Okay,
he
so
won't
about the
turn
same
30.
age.
Yeah, he won't turn 32 till
Okay.
December. So
but I
very
would just say like put him in a competition, right? DJ Humphries, it's yours to lose. Donovan, you want a chance to start. You're not going to have a lower barrier of entry than this one.
Whoever loses,
we barely like this guy.
Whoever loses, though, do you just cut them or
No.
do you keep? So
No,
you
you keep both.
So you keep both of them.
And that's
then
the
if somebody
challenge.
gets hurt-
And that's the challenge is can you convince the other guy to can you convince him knowing that hey, there's a chance that you don't win this job. And you're going to be a backup. And that's the only reason why I wonder if it's not realistic. Because otherwise, if I'm the Chiefs, that I believe is their best path heading into 2025. We've all acknowledged that unless they trade up, and we'll talk to Matt Miller about this here in 10 minutes or so. We all acknowledge unless they trade up, we don't think there's a day one left tackle in the draft for the Chiefs at 31. No. So, okay, if that's not the case, then you look to free agency. We went through the names. Ronnie Stanley, Baltimore looks like they might be retaining him. The Alaric Jackson kid re-signed with the Rams. So then you're down to like Cam Robinson. What's his name?
You're down to Cam Robinson.
Dallas Cowboys, the guy, is it Martin or whatever his name is down there? So like you're not Martin.
Tyron Smith.
Tyron Smith, thank you.
He's even older than the two guys we're talking about.
There's not great options.
Would
so
you do
I would
Tyron
rather
Smith the same way you did Donovan Smith? As in,
Sure.
like, if Tyron
Same.
wants to come here
Fine.
and duel it out with DJ Humphries,
Absolutely.
let's roll.
Where does that put Wanye? Like
he's my right tackle or my backup
He's my
right
backup
tackle.
right tackle.
Okay. I didn't know if there's not. Is he in his third year? I mean, I don't think he'd be a cut candidate at this point.
No. They should. No, why would they? Yeah, there's no
He's a
reason to
great
do
depth
that.
piece.
I think if you were like asking me to truly just play out the offseason, and I don't think they would do this. I would sign DJ Humphries, and I would just find out one way or the other. I'm having one of these guys start. DJ Humphries, Donovan Smith. And then I would also work out Jawan Taylor at left tackle in the offseason as well. And I want my damn answer. Can Jawan Taylor play left tackle? Can DJ Humphries play left tackle? And can Donovan Smith play left tackle? And then if Jawan Taylor wins the job, great. That means he's better than them. And Wanye can be my right tackle or one of these. Like I don't
Isn't
just
this where
just
they messed
do as
up,
many
though?
things possible.
Because there is no long-term
messed up
answer.
because this is where Wanye could be right tackle, sure, but this is where you draft a tackle at 31. If you think Jawan is your left tackle, you draft a right tackle, and he has the talent. I think that's where it makes, to me, drafting a tackle makes more sense
at 31
in the first round if he's going to be your right tackle.
My issue, Drew, is
If
not
you want to move, that's only if Jawan moves.
normally speaking, have no issue with your plan. I have told you I want them to trade up, whatever, right? I am generally for that plan. The issue is that this year's draft doesn't appear to possess a right tackle in the first round. To your case, if they started Jawan Taylor and you're saying, hey, that means you got problems at tackle, even though they put him in a competition, I might draft right tackle at 31.
That's what I'm saying.
I give you, if you're saying that, then I'm not totally against that.
But I don't think
Maybe
they-
on
That's what
my
I'm saying.
board, but I'm not like fixated with it. I'm not like forced into that decision.
They're going to know about Jawan until after the draft,
Correct.
anyways, though. So it's a waste of time.
Yeah, that's the issue that you would need. I'm just saying I would work Jawan Taylor out at left tackle in the offseason as well, just to find out.
sure.
And look, they made their decision already, most likely because they've never given him a single rep there. So this is more of a pipe dream for me. I understand that, but like I would say we are not. I don't care. We are not having our left tackle be as horrific as it was last year, and that means Donovan Smith, DJ Humphries, Jawan Taylor. You're all getting reps
We
at
have no
left tackle.
long-term answer, so we're throwing numbers at
That's
it.
it.
Kingsley can have him too. I don't care.
Sure.
Whoever they think, and they obviously do not think he's a left tackle based on the comments, but you're all in the game. Congratulations. It's Hunger Games. Whoever wins the job wins the job. Because I think part of it, Drew, is that what they ran into is they didn't have the numbers in season, and that became a problem quickly. Kingsley won the job, and then they tried to go back. Like they just didn't have like the numbers at left tackle to make it work. Because then it's like, well, let's go here, and then an injury, and then it's like, well, let's bring in Humphrey. Oh, God, none of this. Oh, this just isn't working, to the point that eventually you were stuck with a guard playing it. And if you get that far down the rabbit hole, you're just kind of screwed anyway.
And you're looking for average to above average left tackle play.
Serviceable, I think is what Nate called it during the season.
Yeah, that's all. Nobody's saying you need to go and have a top 5 or top 10 left tackle. That'd be nice, but that doesn't exist. It just doesn't right now. And so I'll go ahead and take the best interior offensive line in football, which we know they're going to have, and they put their money where their mouth is on that one, and with Trey Smith, whether it's a long-term deal or at least the franchise tag. And then we're going to hope that we get average play and occasionally above average play at left tackle / right tackle, and we think that's good enough. That's like, and I'm not saying like everybody should feel comfortable with that, but like that's, I think their most likely and best outcome heading into the 2025 season. We'll talk about the left tackle draft stuff here with Matt Miller in about 7 minutes or so. You guys remember at one point in time, we had the Facebook Marketplace discussion. Like, hey, when's the last time you listed?
After I messed up,
Drew
big time.
sold a couch to himself, kind of. He gave somebody money for his own couch, which is
Kept his own couch.
You told us this morning that you are looking to sell something again. This sounds dangerous.
I know it sounds dangerous, but I wanted to take it to the listeners. I don't just want to go onto Facebook Marketplace where you can't rely on people evidently.
So wait, you wanted to sell stuff to listeners now? You no longer sell things on secondary sites. You only sell people to
I want to be honest.
on the show.
It seems like it's the most effective way. Or if you know somebody, if any of the listeners know somebody.
Right, what are you trying to sell?
So this is not anything simple. It's not a utility, or it's an accessory, but it is not a common deal.
An accessory.
If you guys, in particular, if you have a PC or a PlayStation, this is going to fit for you. Sorry, Xbox users. I have you guys know that I like racing. I've got a racing wheel.
Okay.
That I want to sell. It's clean. It's good, great condition. I've had it for a few years.
No one's ever said.
No.
No one's ever said used condition. Always barely used.
Cody, I clean the wheel. Cody, I clean the wheel. I clean the racing wheel and the pedals and everything like that. It is in fully good,
you have a shifter as well?
Condition. I do. It's paddles.
Okay.
Right. So it's a paddle shift. Pedals come with it. I want to sell it. Price point is negotiable. I'm not going to set a price point at all.
What is a racing wheel with a paddle shifter?
So if you have
what's the brand?
So if you have it's a Logitech G29. It is
brand new right now. Brand new on Best Buy, $217.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that gives people an idea of what.
It's about a $250 wheel typically if you get it brand new, but it's a little bit cheaper now. Yeah.
Okay, so that gives people an idea. So most likely,
make your offers to Drew.
Yeah.
You can reach out on Twitter. Or
You're
you can
afraid
also
to
text
use Facebook Marketplace ever again? Just don't send somebody money.
Yeah, you can list it on there. Just there's no scenario where you should have to send money for the wheel. They're buying it from you.
It's just I'm. This is my first resort, and if it doesn't get sold, then I'm gonna. Then I might.
Then you'll get to the other sites.
Yeah, then I'm gonna go to the places where I guess apparently can't utilize the site properly. I don't trust people enough now for that. But
you've been burned. But now you're hardened. Oh, now it's okay not to trust. Drew. It's actually good you don't trust them. That's how you should enter these online negotiations. As in, this person is not trustworthy.
I think you're limiting your market though by not putting it on Facebook Marketplace. You got to list it on there. This is kind of a niche product, you know.
It is a very niche product. I'm just. I'm going here first.
Do you not use this wheel, or are you just like, hey, it's not enough to warrant not just taking the money?
Well, it's a little bit of both. You guys remember when they had the race here in the fall, there was a contest, and I ended up winning the contest where I won a different wheel. So I've had this wheel for a couple of years.
You got a better one.
Yes, one that I'm going to use more of. So this one is again in good condition. I've used it for the last 2 or 3 years. It's great. If you have a PlayStation or a PC, you got iRacing, any sort of simulator game.
A lot of people saying $1 Bob. 2 people are $1. We got $1.
$1.
Higher Bob. No, it's not Card Shark. Sorry, $1's not going to cut it. But
you got $2 so far.
Someone did say accessory from the Blue Chew guy. They didn't know what direction you were heading in before you started talking about the steering wheel.
I wanted to phrase it that way to make it, it could be anything. But
all right, current bid's $1.
Current bid's $1.
We have 4 hours to sell this thing. 3.5 left.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how much higher we can go, I suppose.
All right, up next, we'll talk some NFL draft. Matt Miller from ESPN, their draft analyst and insider, tells us if there is enough talent at tackle in this draft for the Chiefs.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for K-State Athletics. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
College basketball is reaching its most exciting stretch of the season. Right now, new customers on FanDuel get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $150 extra bucks to bet on everything from conference clashes to tournament upsets and even who's cutting down the nets. Right now on FanDuel, you could also bet the competitive John Wooden Award market between Cooper Flagg, who was incredible last night, Duke, with a 30-point win against Wake Forest. He's minus 180 right now. Johnny Broome at Auburn, plus 135. Of course, on FanDuel as well, you can bet on who's going to cut down the nets. Auburn, plus 320. The Missouri Tigers, a little bit further down on the odds chart than they were a few weeks ago, but you can bet on them to win the national title as well. And if you've been waiting to join FanDuel, there's no better time. The app is easy to use, and when you win, you'll get paid instantly. So visit FanDuel.com/Alex and get in on the college hoops action before March takes over. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
At Shane Company, we know getting engaged is a big decision. But once you know, you know. That's the way our customers feel when they choose a Shane Company engagement ring. They walk into a warm welcome and walk out with their dream ring, knowing they got it right. For almost 100 years, we've been offering personalized shopping experiences. And we're in it way past the honeymoon, with a free lifetime warranty that includes the center stone, cleanings, repairs, and resizing for life. Shop with us at shaneco.com or at your neighborhood store. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
I'm Brian Tedesco, CEO of Blaupunk Americas, the pioneers of the car stereo. Today, we're not just about sound systems. We are revolutionizing the e-bike scene with Blue Dot Bike. Thanks to AmericanEagle.com, our online presence now features a dynamic e-commerce website that showcases the quality and affordability of our foldable e-bikes. And our collegiate e-bikes, just perfect for the college fanatic. These e-bikes offer a new way to experience freedom on two wheels, no matter your age. When we needed a top-notch website to match our cutting-edge e-bikes, we turned to AmericanEagle.com. They made the impossible seem easy, tackling digital challenges like pros. Check out the Blue Dot Bike website to see AmericanEagle.com's amazing work in action. Need the best in website and digital marketing solutions? AmericanEagle.com is your go-to. They've been a game changer for us, and they can be for you too. Visit AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW-1. That's 877-WEB-NOW-1.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, cause you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes, and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out, so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh, by the way, Ivan's no longer on the project. His wife got a new job, so they're moving across the country.
Robin's top researcher is deviating to a new market. This isn't standard.
And now we're short-staffed. Who's going to finish all these projects?
She needs a cluster of new data analysts, and there's no margin for error.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, everybody, it's here. The March to Spring Training and opening day is officially upon us. Hey, I'm Rob Bradford from Baseball Isn't Boring, and we'll have you covered every single day with instant reactions to late-breaking signings, determining which players are, yes, truly in the best shape of their lives, and behind-the-scenes stories from all the excitement and intrigue that spring training brings. Follow Baseball Isn't Boring in the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Royals coverage sponsored by Renner Garage Door, forward and back, RENNER.
I was coined almost Andy Reid when I was on a radio show, and it stuck with me ever since. Renner Garage Door can help you not get stuck out in the cold this winter. Book your annual maintenance or get a free replacement quote today, RENNER, forward and back, RennerDoor.com.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Well, the Kansas Lottery is throwing heaters with the fiery Hot Sevens contest in celebration of the Boys in Blue return to spring training. Be listening every day at 10:30, right around now, here on Cody and Gold, and you could win a $30 instant scratch ticket from the Kansas Lottery. Just be the 7th caller to 913-586-7965. That's 913-586-7965. And plus, one grand prize winner will win an autographed Bobby Witt Jr. jersey plus framing, all thanks to our friends at the Kansas Lottery. But we were talking a little bit about the left tackle situation in Kansas City, and the draft, of course, could prove to be a solution. We'll find out from someone, though, that was in Indianapolis whether or not that solution does exist in this year's draft class, plus plenty more, including some of the local prospects, as Matt Miller, ESPN draft analyst and insider, joins us here on Cody and Gold. Matt, it's good to have you on the show. You're a Royals guy, too, if I'm not mistaken, right? You're from the Joplin area.
Huge Royals guy. I tell people I'm more of a Royals fan than I am a football fan, I think. It's a nice break, right? And it lines up with my schedule. So, yeah, very excited about the news this morning that we can get a Z-Man in right field.
I think it's because, you get to be a fan of it, is some of it, Matt, right? When you're closer to it, it's harder to be a fan of it. By the way, our guy Sam Mellinger's in, I think, to maybe talk about that sandwich, so he wants to say hi.
Yeah, he says hello.
Sam's my guy. I love him. I can't wait to see him in about 3 weeks. I'm very excited. I could take up my entire segment with you guys talking about Royals baseball and my love for the Z-Man, but I know you probably want to talk about football, so but we'll do that next time.
A little. Next time,
I want one. That's the problem. Now I want a Z-Man, and I'm like, I have time today. I could make it up there and back. So,
well, for your sake, I hope you get it. For the draft's sake, let's talk a little bit with the Chiefs. Let's make the easy conversation first, because there's some other national stuff I'm interested in as well. Is there a single left tackle you think the Chiefs would actually draft, knowing some of their stipulations to do it? And just generally speaking, how many first-round left tackles do you think there are?
Yeah, I think they could do it. Now, that's a great question. How many are there? I think there are 5, potentially. But the thing with this year is I'm going to rip off this list of names. Every one of these players, except for one, teams have talked about moving to guard. So you have Kelvin Banks from Texas, who I think is a tackle. Will Campbell from LSU, came in with very short arms. He's probably going to get moved. You have Membo, our guy from Mizzou, but he's a right tackle. He's never played left tackle. Josh Connerly from Oregon, left tackle, but he might be a guard. And then Josh Simmons from Ohio State, left tackle through and through, but he's coming off a torn patella tendon that happened in October. So his return is he said he's going to be cleared mid-April. I'm skeptical of that. I hope that's the case, but those 5 guys I think are true round 1 tackles.
When you look at what the Chiefs, I know we talk a lot about here because the arm length thing, how big of a deal do you think the franchises that care about that make it, you know?
They make it a huge deal. They really do. And, I get the tweets from people who are like, I can't believe you care about this stuff. It's I care about it because NFL teams do. And if you're a tackle who has 32-inch arms, well, there's just not a precedent for that, really. And I know you'll get folks who are like, oh, well, it doesn't actually matter. Kind of does. There's never been a tackle drafted with under 32-inch arms, since 1999. And even if you look at the guys who are under 32 and a half, It's like Peter Skoronski, but he's playing guard. Alaric Jackson with the Rams, who just got locked up. He was going to be a free agent. He had 32.5. Like, it's a pretty short list when you get under 33 of guys, especially at left tackle, who've had success. So I look at metrics as like, what can help me do my job better? If there's a number out there that says, hey, this is you got to be this tall to ride the ride. If that's 33.
All right, it looks like we lost Matt Miller there, Drew. If we're going to reconnect, I know you're working on the phones there with the contest. So let's try to see if we can make sure Matt Miller's good to go as we dropped him in the middle of that. We're talking to Matt Miller, ESPN draft analyst and insider, about not only left tackle, but just how much does it matter? Some of the things we've always heard, measurables, and it sounds like a great deal, right? Like that he was saying, no, the teams that care, the reason why everybody mentions arm length, and you're like, why is this number's always being tweeted out on my timeline? It's because ain't no teams actually do have benchmarks basically within that. So we'll get reconnected with Matt Miller and talk more about that. I was going to ask about Nick Bolton and like, hey, if they have to find a replacement, how feasible is that in this year's draft? We've talked about some of the mocks that have him taking a linebacker in round 4.
Matt, I was on Matt Verderam's podcast yesterday as we, again, get Matt Miller back on. I was on his podcast, and he made a fun suggestion for me on that. Maybe we can talk about it later.
Yeah, let's welcome Matt Miller back in. Sorry about that, Matt. Great to have you on the show. I was going to ask you about Nick Bolton. If they have to get a replacement for him, they do not bring him back through free agency, how realistic is a position like linebacker where they've had some success drafting to maybe find his replacement?
Yeah, guys, I do think it's possible. I think the other thing that makes you feel good is like you've got some guys on the roster that have filled in at times.
All right, we're obviously having some phone issues. I don't know if that's on our end. That's unfortunate there. I don't know what's going on with that. So we're having some clear issues with the with the phone.
Drew, is it doing it on its own?
All right, I don't know what's going on, Matt. Apologies,
man.
If
we hang up again, we promise we'll let you be free and clear, and you can just start making that drive for the Z-Man.
I'll just come do it in
That's
studio.
right. That's right. Yeah,
I'll be there in an hour and a half. Okay. Yeah. So linebacker, I do think at linebacker you can find your Nick Bolton replacement, but it doesn't have to be a first-round pick, especially for the way the NFL is going with this. Like those thumpers like Nick Bolton, you don't see a lot of them anymore. Everybody's going to kind of this rangier linebacker. I think Barrett Carter from Clemson in round 3, Chris Paul from Ole Miss round 4, Danny Stutzman from OU. Like, I would love him in this defense. He's going to be a round 3, round 4 guy. So, yeah, you can absolutely find a suitable replacement, and it doesn't have to be a top 64 pick.
I think what's happened here locally is fans have officially started they're convinced Luther Burden is falling to 31. The Chiefs are going to take him. They're going to pair up Rice Worthy and Luther Burden together. They're already concocting this plan in which this makes sense. I've seen 10 or 15 mocks that seemingly have him falling out of the first round. Do you think that's going to happen?
No, I think those people are all crazy. I don't know what they're watching. And I say that jokingly because I work with 2 guys who've done that recently, and I love them. But I don't see it happening. And maybe I'm crazy. I actually think we should draft guys who are good at playing football. And for the past 3 years, that's been Luther Burden. And then everybody's like, oh, well, we don't know how fast he is. So what does he do? He goes to the combine and he reminds you how fast he is. And it's like, okay, I know that he's kind of an introvert. He's kind of a quiet guy. That kind of maybe rubs some people the wrong way. But like, this dude's 21 years old and he's been dominant every time you've given him the football. He has NFL size. He's 6 foot, 206 pounds. He ran a 4.41. He did the position drills, unlike a lot of the other receivers. I don't get it. I have no idea. I've talked to Coach Drinkwitz about it. They're like, neither of us can figure it out. So I'm led to believe it's just, I don't know. I don't know if people just have only watched a handful of games from 2024 and that's who they think he is. But I think he's the best receiver in the draft. So if he's there at 31, it's the easiest decision in football.
So, Matt, what range then? For you, it sounds like you think much earlier than 31. Is he in that 15 to 20 range?
Yeah, I think, San Francisco they traded Deebo Samuel. They might trade Brandon Ayuk. I think that's where you start the conversation is at 11. And then 12, Dallas. Dallas needs somebody like him badly. Miami, we have no idea how much longer Tyreek's going to play. I think all those teams, you can make a case. Cincinnati might lose T. Higgins in a sign-and trade. Could you imagine Luther Burden? Never mind. Chiefs fans don't want to think about that. Luther Burden off Jamar Chase? Come on. I mean, they'd still lose in the playoffs, but it'd be a lot of fun. So I love the idea that he's there at 31. I don't necessarily think it's a need. Like, as much as I love Luther and think he would thrive in this offense, that's kind of the Rashee Rice role, and we'll see. I think investing that much in a wide receiver position when your offensive line is terrible would be like, that's the definition of luxury. If you're drafting receivers in back-to-back first rounds and 3 in the top 60 in the past 3 years when your left tackle is terrible, I don't know that I could get on board with that necessarily.
On the national end, just out of curiosity, is there a team that's going to let Travis Hunter play both wide receiver and corner?
I think there's teams that'll try it at least. I think you have to let him fail at it almost, and maybe he doesn't. Maybe he figures it out. And how to do it mentally is the hard part. I think physically he'll probably be okay, but I can see someone like the Giants or the Patriots who are just bad, or the Jaguars being like, we're bad. Let's try it and see. Worst case scenario, we sell some tickets, but let's at least get him out there and see what he can do. Travis is amazing, like 4.0 student, loves football. Like, I think from a love of the game standpoint, he wants to do it. Now, let's talk about him, like saying what he does is harder than Ohtani, I think is wild. There's no way I can get on board with that. But Travis is awesome, and if he wants to try it, I do hope that teams give him that opportunity.
We're talking to Matt Miller, ESPN draft analyst and insider here on 96.5 The Fan. The Combine, I don't know how many of these you've gone to at this point in time, but more and more of these athletes, especially the high-profile ones, are deciding either not to throw up pro day, maybe only do the interview process. Is that just where this whole thing is going? Like, do you think 10 years from now the Combine is still going to be what we know as the Combine today?
Man, I think I've been to 14. I need to probably count that at some point. I've been to a lot, and it has changed a lot. I do think it's unfortunate because from an evaluator standpoint, like, forget the fact that I work for ESPN, like, just from somebody who wants to know which of these players is good at what they do, I wish they had to work out. So it is, I feel like the NFL, the NFLPA, and the agents need to sit down and talk and say, okay, like, we understand, like, your guys need to opt out of some things, but how can we incentivize getting everybody to do a 3-cone or a 40 or like whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, the Combine matters for medicals and interviews. And, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders were still doing that stuff. Marvin Harrison Jr. still did that stuff last year, even though he didn't do anything else. So we'll see. I think for it to change, there would almost have to be backlash from teams. And teams just need good players so badly that, like we saw last year with Marvin, he didn't do anything at all in the process. And he's still at 4th overall. So there would have to be a legit situation where you could point to a guy and say, like a wide receiver, Tedero McMillan, nothing at the Combine, Luther Burden, everything at the Combine. That's why Luther goes ahead of him. I think it would have to be a situation like that across multiple positions where you would then incentivize agents. Like, it's really the agents. It's not the players who are like, no, I don't want to do this. It's the agents saying, you have nothing to gain by performing at the Combine. Let's shut you down. And we'll just wait till a pro day or just wait to see what happens in the draft.
Matt Miller, ESPN draft analyst and insider. Man, I got to let you go. You joked at the beginning. I swear when we brought you on, you said, hey, I saw the Royals news about the Z-Man sandwiches. Well, we actually have to let you go because I think some sandwiches are actually in the studio right now. So that actually just happened.
I've never been more jealous. So you guys enjoy. I'm going to sit here and think about how good that would be for lunch today.
As you said, for you, it's only like a 90-minute drive, right, from Joplin. So,
right. I'm thinking about it now. Yeah, you may see tweets of me in KC today. We'll see what happens.
I love it. There you go. Matt Miller, kind enough to join us today from ESPN, our draft analyst and insider. Good perspective on him. We'll get back into some of the things he said about left tackle. Yeah. He actually says there's 5. Now, a lot of them might convert to guard, so we'll see. We'll get back to that.
Concerning number that he said that teams have talked about converting to guard, and one that is a straight right tackle, obviously, in Mimbo from Missouri. So then you'd be just drafting a guy in Jawan Taylor. It's fine. It's complicated, but we'll get back to it.
But I'm not kidding. Now, you couldn't have seen it on the video stream. We don't have the cameras turned over that direction. But as we were talking to Matt Miller, we just had the kind folks from Joe's KC. We also had some representatives of the Royals walk in with some Z-Man sandwiches. I know I can't eat those in the middle of the segment unless you want to just talk, Cody, and then I'll just go ahead and scarf one down.
Take a couple of bites at least.
But you guys saw the awesome news earlier today. Z-Man's coming to the K.
Yeah, I saw. Same thing, right field. They're going to serve him out there. I think you had pointed out to me that they did it at the Current. So, look, I'm not anti-Z-Man sandwich. I'm obviously very pro. I still think the burnt-in Z-Man might be the world's perfect sandwich for what it's worth. You can get that on, like, Wednesdays. I think it's Wednesdays. Don't hold me to that. But it's a great sandwich. We're excited it's going to be at the K, and you guys have happily joined us to discuss it. So let's talk a little bit about how this partnership came to be. I think people constantly are asking for local Kansas City barbecue at the stadium. How did the Royals come to this partnership, right?
Yeah, well, thanks for having us. Yeah, I mean, we've been focused on getting more local concepts and local food into the K. So last year we brought in Buffalo State Pizza. We've been looking at some other concepts, but really for this local community, nothing speaks more to it than barbecue. And so we started exploring opportunities. We started looking at options, and we landed on a great partnership with Joe's, which we're super excited to announce today. The Z-Man is coming to the K. It'll be available in chicken and beef brisket with onion rings, all for $20. So it's a great deal.
Okay, so it's a little bit of everything, right? So chicken or beef, I get my choice.
Correct.
Okay. Which part of right field specifically, just so I can plan on getting out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's an area right beyond Gate E. So those fans that are coming in, in a rush, that want to just go get their Z-Man, you just go right into Gate E, go to right field. It's behind the Rivals bar for a lot of fans. May understand that. It's connected to the outfield experience, so it's integrated in that. It's in a back area that has some picnic tables, so there's opportunity for families to sit down and eat. There's some social areas for anybody that wants to socialize, have a beer, just hang out, watch the game on a TV, and just talk in a quieter space. But it is in that right field area, right behind Rivals, next to Gate E.
Okay. And for Joe's, just to be able to be part of this brand and to be part of the Royals and the success they're having right now, how excited are you guys?
We've been working on this for 6 months or so, probably. So I mean, we when we started talking, it was very fun because the Royals were shooting for the playoffs and ultimately ended up getting there. So the magic was alive, and I even got out to the stadium for a couple games during the postseason run just to kind of see where we were talking about being and feel the energy of the place. And we're very excited because it allows us to showcase our brand a little bit more without building massive restaurants like we have already, and grow a little bit without doing too much, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, we were going to give our Royals insider Josh Vernier a hard time later and find out how many trips from the press box is he gonna, how many Z-Man sandwiches for him throughout the season.
We'll get him hooked up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you got to bring them up to the press box just once. They'll be the happiest people on the planet. Media people love free food. It's
I've learned that. Yeah, we always take care of
thing.
our media friends, so don't worry.
Yeah, but it's like for Joe's, it's like, you don't have to be like, what took so long? But it does, sometimes it's the local stuff. People, at stadiums, that didn't exist for a really long time. You just you got what you got, and you didn't know sometimes I don't even know the brand of whatever I'm eating. I'm just eating whatever food you serve. I think it's nice to have local brands incorporated, especially with, you guys did the stuff with Boulevard. We've done stuff with now Joe's. It's nice to see some of the local places. That's all.
I mean, like I said earlier, this has been a focus for us as an organization, right? I mean, obviously everybody's coming to watch the game, and that is central to everything. But the fan experience is enhanced, especially in baseball, with the food and beverage experience. So you mentioned Boulevard. They're a great partner of ours. We have Pelicana for some Mexican food. We have Andy's frozen custard. We've got a lot of local brands, but really having Joe's as part of that is going to be take it to the next level and create that barbecue experience that people come not only from the local community, but also even visiting fans want to find barbecue. We get that's a big question from visiting fans, and now we can just send them right out to right field and get Joe's.
That's the great one. But they're that is maybe the first question I think any of us could ask for somebody who's coming in town. It's which barbecue place should I go to? And it's a hard thing to answer because you're I don't know. You want me to list there's some great places, right? We can do it, but if you can get it at the K, it makes it a little bit easier. If well, go to a baseball game, you can just get a Z-Man there. And that's, I guess I view this, and I'm guessing you guys do too. You chose the Z-Man because it is your signature sandwich. I mean, it's the one, if you say, I got a sandwich at Joe's, people assume you got a Z-Man.
Mm-hmm. It's our best seller by far. Obviously, it's been around the longest. We get some, shall we say, pushback for why aren't we doing the Rocket Pig? That sounds great. And it's well,
I love that sandwich too.
It's fantastic, and it's one of my favorite sandwiches, and I had a hand in creating it. But it also, when we created that one at the time, we had to bring in about 5 different new ingredients. And so trying to streamline something from a logistics standpoint away from the core of our business makes a lot of sense. And the Z-Man is one of those things that we've made in festival parking lots, in Chicago and Denver and St. Louis. And as long as the infrastructure's there, which the Royals have provided fantastic infrastructure for us to be able to do what we want to do out there, it's a pretty seamless operation.
I think, and to honor this, that we should have the Royals VP of Media. I think we should make Sam Ellinger do the 9-inning 9 challenge. Instead of 9 hot dogs, 9 Z-Mans, 9 beers. He can just take the day off. It's fine. 9-9. We try to get him through 9 innings.
Yeah.
What's the most Z-Man you've seen eaten in a single setting? Probably not 9.
I've heard of somebody taking down 2, and that
it?
blows my mind. I mean, that is that's a substantial amount of food.
It's a good size sandwich.
And Jason, starting on opening day, this will be all
starting
season
on
long.
opening day. Yeah, I mean, along with everything that you'll see in the ballpark that's new, which we'll be uncovering in a few weeks. But yeah, this will be available right from opening day, every game. Even on Sundays as well. I think that's been a question I've seen online as well, so I just want to address that. So it'll be all 81 home games.
So I think one of the first texts we saw under like the tweet about it was even on Sunday. Like they're just trying to, can I get it on a Sunday?
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
At least now you know an extra place to get a Z-Man on a Sunday. That's great news.
Well, thanks for coming in studio, guys. You brought some gifts too, so I appreciate that.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to.
You're gonna eat that immediately, aren't you?
We got 5 minutes during a break, and I'll see how quickly we can down the Z-Man.
Oh, you can do it in 2. I bet.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's
it's close to lunchtime. He'll be
say,
fine.
you guys are in radio. You're used to eating fast. Like us in the restaurant business, we don't get to sit
Yeah,
down.
exactly.
Exactly.
You eat standing up, and then you just kind of move to the next thing as fast as possible.
Absolutely.
You know?
Appreciate you guys coming in studio. Again, members from Joe's KC, the Z-Man going to be at Kauffman Stadium this season. Also, Royal Chief Operating Officer Jason Sinaraja, kind enough to join us in studio as well to talk about this exciting news. And coming up next, we're going to react a little bit more to what Matt Miller had to say to us about the draft, including maybe there are some more options at left tackle than we realize. That's coming up next on 96.5 The Fan.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Josh Vernier joins the show every day at 12:45, live from spring training, right here on your home for Royals baseball. 96.5, The Fan.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold once again, telling you about our friends over at Centric, and we've all been dealing with this brutal weather in Kansas City. Maybe you work outside, and look, you've just had enough. Well, you can start a brand new career with our friends over at Centric, because they allow you to advance your career on your time with their flexible schedules.
You choose your curriculum, go with that new career path, and stop worrying about what the weather will do for you. Call our guy, Russ Mondry. He's been with Centric for 16 years and will be with you to guide you every step of the way. Go to Centric.com now.
A body in motion stays in motion until you feel that muscle tighten. KRT helps you get back in action with all natural pain relief in just minutes. Learn more at krtrelief.com.
Honey, it's me, your wife. Spring is here, and our house desperately needs the experts at Powell Exteriors Casey for siding, windows, entry doors, beautiful decks, patio covers, roofs, and more. Get ready for summer at powellkc.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-518-3899. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-518-3899. That's 800-518-3899. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Old Spice Swagger Body Wash will make you the MVP of freshness and confidence. With its irresistible scent, it will transform your shower experience, leaving you feeling fresh on and off the field. Pair it with Old Spice Swagger Deodorant, the #1 aluminum-free brand that keeps you feeling like a Super Bowl champion 24/7 when used daily. But don't wait. This dynamic duo is available at Costco for a limited time only. Old Spice, official deodorant partner of the NFL and Super Bowl 59, where freshness meets football greatness.
Build your business with a partner you can trust. The Home Depot. When you join Pro Extra, you get lower than shelf pricing and dedicated support to help you streamline your business and stay on budget. Get dedicated pro support for supply sourcing, custom orders, large equipment rentals, and more. At the Home Depot, we supply the support your job needs with the level of service your business deserves. The Home Depot, how pros get more done.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, cause you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things. People. Love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes, and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
Hey, Kansas City, it's Dusty Likens, and in case you didn't already know, I'm here to tell you that you can watch all the shows here on 96.5 The Fan across all our social media channels. That's right. If you want to see our smiling faces as we talk about the best sports fans and teams in the country, subscribe to our YouTube channel or watch on Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch. Wake up with us, eat lunch with us, and go home with us. Your home for Kansas City sports, 96.5 The Fan. Hey guys, it's CDOT here to remind you to download the Odyssey app so you can listen to 96.5 wherever you are straight from your phone. You have the option to listen live, listen on demand throughout the day at your convenience, or you can listen to any of our original podcasts like Character Concerns and 249 Miles of College Football. Plus, if you're in Kansas City, you can listen to the play-by-play of the Chiefs game with Mitch Holtis, Danny Hughes, and our guy Kling. Download the free Odyssey app today and follow 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports.
Listen to Cody and Gold every day at 10:30 for the Fiery Hot Sevens contest, where you can win a $30 instant scratch ticket, and one person will win the grand prize, a Bobby Witt Jr. autographed jersey and framing. All thanks to our friends at Kansas Lottery. Come join us for the Royals Roundtable, plus meet and greet with Michael Massey and Kyle Isbell at Hollywood Casino Friday, March 28th, starting at 6. Your home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
All right, didn't quite finish it during the break, but I'm well over. I'm well over halfway through the Z-Man.
I will
Still
say,
very hot too, man. That was legit.
For those who want a Z-Man, we'll do it later in the show because, I'm not a monster. I'm not going to just keep it for myself, The gentleman over at Joe's Kansas City handed me, he said, do you guys do some giveaways during the show sometimes? I said, yeah, of course. He said, cool. I have a card for you. It says, is free Z-Man for a year.
Oh, baby. Yes.
One Z-Man once a week for the whole year. So later in the show, maybe
let's do that. Let's
noon hour, we'll give this bad boy away. That way, if somebody's interested in a Z-Man a week for the year, I know for a fact you would just be like, okay, I guess it's Joe's day every Saturday.
Remember, I once
show.
won the through the Pick'em contest we did. No, through the Pick'em contest.
Oh yeah.
$500 Joe's gift card.
I do remember that. Yeah,
I got I used every bit of that. Used every single bit of that. So appreciate
Worth its weight in
Joe's
gold.
for coming in, and obviously the Royals as well. They're excited to announce their partnership. And if you're going out to Kauffman Stadium at all this year, beginning on opening day, right field behind Rivals, you can get a Z-Man sandwich and some onion rings. So appreciate them bringing in some food as well. And be nice to have. You're right though about the local barbecue thing. And, a lot of times you're like, you go to a ballpark or a stadium, you're like, well, you can't get the same local restaurants that you would get around town. Well, not the case. You can actually get the Z-Man right there at Kauffman Stadium. Before we had the folks from Joe's and the Royals come in, we were talking with Matt Miller. I just wanted to real quick react to that, and we can get to some actual Royals conversation, including maybe a player they were targeting, but a player still kind of waiting to see what other offers might be out there, and it maybe tells us about the area the Royals are still interested in improving the roster. But Matt Miller, you asked about the left tackle. He said, I do think there are options to be day one starters at tackle. He said there's like 5 names, but he said out of these 5 names, a lot of these teams are going to convert to guard. And so, well, if they're going to convert to guard, then it obviously means that they are not fits, right, for Kansas City. Like if all these other teams are converting guys to guard, well, then that's not going to be the area that the Chiefs are going to be able to actually draft and feel like of the first round pick, they're going to go find their long-term answer.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is like That actually, like, I know he's saying there's some guys who can play tackle. That conversation is exactly why they can't draft a tackle in the first round. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry. If half the league thinks at least half of these guys aren't even going to play, so at least two of these guys aren't even going to play tackle, most likely because of how many they think are switching to guard. One of them is a right tackle, definitively not the Chiefs' need today. It is an eventual need, but it's not a need today. Are we in the business of, you want to talk about luxury pick? He said a wide receiver be a luxury pick. Taking a right tackle you have no intention to start for a year is also a massive luxury. At least the wide receiver would be a player you could use now, so that doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm already out on 3/5. One of those guys will go long before you ever get a chance. Maybe one choice available. This feels like a third round thing. It is the vet option thing. I go back to the same stuff where it's just like sometimes years align, and you and I have pushed for trade up, make these moves. There are tackles available, some that make sense. It just doesn't make sense this year. It does not make sense to solve your left tackle problem long term. And I tried to go through the teams and different team reporting and find the Orlando Brown Jr., the left tackle who's unhappy, who you can trade a first-round pick for and pay a bunch of money to. He does not exist. That is a unicorn. It is not a real thing that exists in the market this time. Matter of fact, it doesn't exist in the market very often. It was weird when it existed with Orlando Brown Jr., and it was only because he was mostly a right tackle, then got to play a little left tackle, and they liked their other left tackle. I just think you have to draft later in the draft and hope maybe they're a guard, maybe they're a tackle, and you just help your offensive line and you take a free agent left tackle.
The other position and player we asked about, hey, if the Chiefs don't bring back Nick Bolton, can they find their linebacker of the future there? And he listed multiple guys. He also mentioned the dude that came up in our mock draft a couple times out of Oklahoma, Danny Stutzman, that has been mentioned multiple times. It seems like he would be a perfect another thumper in the run game, like almost direct replacement. Does struggle in coverage kind of thing. But that's somebody that we're going to hear more and more about, I think, as we get closer and closer to the draft. Like maybe a fourth-round pick that the Chiefs can just find their Nick Bolton replacement, assuming they do not bring him back, which right now most people think they won't. But maybe Bolton tests the open market, and it's not as appealing as he thought it was going to be, and he realizes, okay, maybe the Chiefs valuing me, the evaluation they gave me was correct, and this is what I'm worth, not as much as I thought I was going to get on the open market.
And what he said is telling the truth a little bit too, which is most teams are moving away from a linebacker like Nick Bolton. Well, Gold, if most teams are doing that, what's your market?
Right.
Who's the team that wants to side the thumping linebacker if most of the market is dictating that we're not using that kind of linebacker? The Chiefs are using that kind of linebacker, and a few other teams are. It's certainly not zero, but the idea that like there are less teams than normal operating under that circumstance means that there probably aren't that many people who are possibly doing it. And so like I think he's got to have a limited market. I'm still not totally convinced that Nick Bolton won't be back, but I have questions over that just because of the fact that there aren't that many teams who operate the way the Chiefs do defensive. We talked about this with guard and everything else and all the stuff in between, but there's also a reason why they're going to let Nick Bolton actually get to free agency next week and feel out his market, and versus like what they're doing now with Trey Smith, in my opinion, which, when they franchise him and are planning on holding on to him. Is interesting about T. Higgins. Did you like for you, Drew, you okay? He mentioned T. Higgins. He said maybe tag and trade. Those are rare.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I think that's a possibility. The idea, though, that they would let him get to free agency without
tag and trade and then draft Luther Burden is what he was joking about.
I mean, I think that there's.
I mean, if that's it, Drew will probably live. But
I mean, if they lose T. Higgins, then wide receiver becomes a need. But you can handle your business and still spend money in free agency on the defensive end while also drafting the place that you sucked at last year, which was the defensive side of the ball. So why use their first rounder on a wide receiver running back when you can draft a defensive lineman?
We'll get to the trash of the day coming up in 15 minutes or so. We'll also head out to Arizona a little bit later on to talk some Royals with our Royals insider, Josh Vernier, and maybe get his reaction as well to this report that we're going to discuss out of the New York Post, which is that the Royals recently, according to Joel Sherman of the New York Post, tried to sign Adam Duvall. That's all I'll ever think about when I hear anybody with the name Adam Duvall or Duvall, period, Duval County. Adam Duvall's a vet at the end of his career. Last year did not have a great year.
That is putting it so mildly.
Atlanta Braves. Yeah, I'm being nice. I'm being very nice. 36 years old. He was not good. Like he hit 182 with a 569 OPS, okay? Now, against lefties, his slash line, the reason why some teams might have some interest, 252, 342, 514 was his slash line. And the report says the Royals were intrigued by him, discussed bringing him in. The report says the Royals were offering $1 million guaranteed. Adam Duvall said, I want $3 million or I'll just retire. And that's why he is still a free agent.
Okay, retire
then, right? Yeah, retire then if that's the case.
Again, he's a career 227 hitter with a 287 on base percentage and a 459 slug. He has stayed in the league because of his defense. I don't know how to put it any mildly than that. He's not in the league because he can hit. And even for a guy who can't hit and has never really hit all that well at any particular time in his Major League Baseball career, he was particularly bad last year, in which he hit 182, 245 on base, as you mentioned. No power, hit 0 homers. He has 15.
Was it 0? I thought he had. Why did I think he hit 11? Maybe I'm working at the wrong numbers.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at triples. I apologize. He had 11 homers. You're right. So a little bit of power. Used to have bigger power when he was younger, way younger. But like, they just wanted a utility guy who was better than like the 24-year-old utility guy.
Well, he's an outfielder too. We all know there are issues in the outfield. They're trying to find different guys to match up. I think take the Adam Duvall part of it out of this equation. The fact that they were still even at a cheap price looking for an outfielder or another bat, even
tells you that they're not sure. Which it says more about like, are we sure that we're going with MJ and Massey and India and these? Are we sure that we're just going to stick every former catcher, former second baseman? Are we going to stick all these guys out in the outfield and just rotate through? Are we comfortable with that? All he would have been, in my opinion, is a security blanket. Honestly, kudos to the Royals, though.
Yeah, don't overpay. Don't overpay.
I know that there's no difference between, fundamentally, between the Royals' payroll. There's not some massive difference in $1 and $3 million. But, stand on principle. He's not a $3 million player. And the truth is, I'm glad they didn't sign him. I would rather they put a second baseman who can actually hit in left field than watch someone play left field hitting 182. I would take my chances. I'll take my chance. I really will. I would rather somebody in the minors, another Weimer. I'd rather so many other guys have a chance to do that than just rolling out him. I felt like this was the all-time security blanket. You know what? For $1 million, he'll offer a little security we get through the next 3 weeks of spring training and try to figure out where we are. And if we owe him $1 million and we walk on him, cool.
Well, and if you're talking about a guy clearly is a year away from retiring or is willing to consider retirement and he's say, hey, I'll just stay at home if you won't up the offer by $2 million. With the kind of the culture and clubhouse they've built at this point in time, it's part of you do you, if that's all the guy is really caring about at this present day of his career, is that the guy you want to come in? Is he going to be happy with his role anyway? Is that going to even work out? So the market is also saying that the Royals are correct. Nobody else has signed him for $3 million, so it's not like this is some other team was willing to do it. Now, injuries happen. If you're a month into the season and he's still in shape and something happens, then you revisit the conversation
this
and maybe
like a body on a really bad team to me more than anything else.
We'll see. I mean, he's Adam Duvall was not a name that people were clamoring for by any means, but I thought that report was interesting from the New York Post that the Royals weren't interested. It tells you they're interested in still maybe an outfield bat. That's why ultimately, if you were to go through and talk to a lot of Royals fans like we have, a lot of people think there's still need another outfield bat. It never came to be. If the team's competitive the way we think they're going to be competitive in a divisional race again and all that, well, then that's the conversation I'm sure throughout the entire summer we will have about, hey, could they go and move somebody to go make something happen? If, in fact, the plan doesn't work, as in, does MJ Melendez not kind of flip his career with the changes he's making? Do they not get production from Michael Massey in the outfield if he ends up playing X amount of games in the outfield? If all that stuff doesn't work, well, then you start talking about trade stuff. We got months and months and months from now.
Jack Caglione is just raking in Double A.
I still think that's the fun one to think about. I still think that's a bit of a pipe dream heading into the season to think that that's something that's even going to happen in August. It takes him playing at an extremely high level. It takes him likely learning right field, and it takes the struggles from the big league club at least at one or two areas. So a lot has to happen before I think Cags is that answer. I think Jack Caglione is the answer in 2026. If you're going to look back and say, hey, they didn't add an outfield bat this year, you might be saying, well, thank goodness they didn't spend all that money because next year, maybe it is Jack Caglione in 2026 as your right fielder or left fielder.
And we know that they haven't started that transition yet because it's let's just play him at his natural position in the minors until we need a bat. And if his bat is forcing himself into the major leagues, guess what they'll do? They'll start playing him in left or they'll start playing him in right, I think more likely. And they'll start figuring out a way to get his bat in the lineup. He's got to force their hand. Jack Caglione, he's got to make them make that decision, which is tough, but it's fine. I mean, I'm glad. I mean, I know that it's a difference of $2 million, and if you wanted the player at $1 million, You don't want him at 3 at all? Like, it doesn't seem like that big of a difference in price? But it is, because your plan, I think he was just a safety net, not even to start the year, Gold. Does that make sense? They wanted to pay him $1 million, get him in camp, and see how he compared to the people they had. And if he compared worse or less favorably, they would have just said, it's been nice seeing you, Adam. Here's $1 million. Appreciate your time and effort. And they would have just walked, even at the end of spring training, in order to do that. They just wanted some competition out there, or somebody who knows how to play the position, and a little bit of like, hey, we're all doing this together stuff. And at $3 million, that's not worth it. Just going to have to be on the coaches and the other guys who've played that position before.
Coming up in 8 minutes, we'll get to the trash of the day here on 96.5 The Fan. But sticking with baseball, this one I think is way more troubling and certainly should frustrate a lot of baseball fans. And this is the fact that the head of the MLB Players Association, Tony Clark, is already out here to Sportigo saying, yeah, we expect a lockout after the 2026 season. Quote, unless I'm mistaken, the league has come out and said there's going to be a work stoppage. So I don't think I'm speaking out of school in that regard. For those that don't know, the
2 years in advance,
current CBA will expire December 1st of 2026. It's obviously March of 2025 now. The fact that you are this far out, and in fairness, I think the league too, maybe to a certain extent, already both acknowledging, oh yeah, we're going to have a work stoppage. That just sucks as a baseball fan to hear already this far in advance that they both realize, oh, yeah, we're in for a war kind of thing here when it comes to negotiating.
You got 24 months to work
Start
this
working
out.
on it now. That's not how they do it, though, man.
Why?
It's crazy.
It's just like, does this sport hate its fans? Like, and I love baseball. I genuinely love baseball. But it's like, this is really, for me, the only remaining issue that, like, holds them back. They've moved up the pace of play. They've got some stars. They're trying to increase the action. Their playoffs are great. They got some things that really, really, really work on their favor as a sport. But if every 5 years I got to watch you not play baseball because mom and dad are fighting again, like, it's just too much. And to say 2 years in advance, you were already anticipating a work stoppage, I hate hearing that. I really, really hate hearing that.
Rob Manfred told The Athletic about a month ago, in a quote that was just bizarre kind of as well. He said, it's actually a positive. Quote, there is leverage associated with an offseason lockout in the process of collective bargaining under the National Labor Relations Act works based on leverage. The great thing about offseason lockouts is the leverage that exists gets applied between the bargaining parties. Look, no fan wants to hear that. Saying that it's the great thing
it's
about
actually good if we get locked out.
The great thing about off-season lockouts, yeah, leverage. I guess
the last lockout cost you half a season.
I guess for the owners,
not that much. Cost you like a week.
The pressure you put on players because there's obviously you're talking about financial elements and families trying to make it work. And I'm not talking about the higher end guys. I'm talking about the guys that are on the low end of the totem pole payroll wise in Major League Baseball. The fact that you do a lockout, you do that strictly to put them in a really, really tough spot where they're forced to get back to work and cave. That's why on that side you think it's a positive or whatever. Look, we all know the two biggest issues: salary cap, salary floor. The luxury tax is kind of a soft cap. The floor,
there is no floor.
There is none. And I don't think, while players would love a salary floor, I don't think owners have any intention of ever doing that. And so here we are. And
unless it came with a cap and the players don't want a cap.
And that's why both parties understand that likely heading to a lockout. You cannot, with the stars in the league right now, and obviously here in Kansas City, thinking about what that would mean, and that'd be right in the middle of the prime years of Bobby Witt Jr. I know we're talking something in 2026.
It's just an off-season lockout, though. To his point.
I don't know, man.
Like, the last lockout didn't really cost them. Like, remember, we had planned, like, a wiffle ball game because we were going to do opening day, even if baseball wasn't going to do opening day. And they did this, like, truncated spring of nonsense that felt like it set some Royals pitchers back and was a bit bizarre a little bit. But they got the season in, right? Most of the games were played. The problem is that, let's just say you play 162 games, but you're locked out December, January, February, and March, even parts of March, and you do this truncated thing, and you get to the regular season, it's like a couple weeks late, but you get to it, and you do everything you're supposed to do outside of that. You guys are forgetting about another part of this, Major League Baseball, which is optics. We, as fans, tune out when billionaires fight against millionaires over million. It's like it turns into this, like, you get turned off by the sport because every 5 years I got to watch you fight again. That's the problem. It's not that I actually think it would cost him 80 games or something. I don't think.
I think the concern is that they will actually miss games in 2026. If they miss January and February, I don't think fans really care that much because they're like, okay, whatever. Are you missing games in 2026? And based on the wording that's already being used, the verbiage,
it sounds like they're both just agreeing to it essentially.
I think there's a real chance. I truly think there will be games missed in 2026, and that is just devastating to a sport that does have a lot of stars right now, and it has some decent momentum going for it. But we all know there's so many entertainment options, and we know that the demographics of the league are trending older than other sports. They just are, and you're always trying to get the younger sports fan to care about your sport and how regionalized it is, and you're trying to make it a national sport. So a lot of this has to do with the TV stuff, which is a whole other topic of conversation around the same time. I hope that's not the case, but like right this second, if you said, do I think they will miss games in 2026, I would say yes.
This is such a problem with the sport. You're saying 2 years from now you think they're going to miss games.
They're already talking about work stoppages, man.
You could just have meetings. I don't know how to break this to anybody. You are allowed to meet now, like right now. If I thought I was going to leave this job in 2 years, I could technically do something about it.
Yeah, and people
for
on the
next
text line,
2 years.
913-586-7965. Some people are saying, hey, this is what they need, a couple steps back, massive step forward kind of thing. I hear you, but let's say it was worst case scenario. It was an entire year lockout. There's some fans that would, much like in the 90s, would say, I'm just done. I don't care, even if maybe that's what it takes to get a salary floor or that's what it takes to get a salary cap. I think that would be good for the sport long term. But in the short term, you're going to have some fans that are upset that maybe the diehards will be there. The casual fan may just say, hey, I don't need this thing. And that's the danger and the risk that both parties are playing.
My dad stopped watching baseball during the 94 strike for a while, and it took him probably till the Royals were good again in 14 or 15 to come fully back.
Yeah, I mean, someone on the text line says their dad, they said, hasn't watched a single game since the strike in the 90s. And he's not alone. Obviously, there's some people that came back. A lot of people came back, but that's the danger. And I know you're like, well, it's just so far out. Why are we talking about it?
Because they're talking
about it already. That's what sucks.
Like they're not just talking about it. They're saying, oh yeah, we'll have a work stoppage. It's fine. And you're like, no. And then you got the commissioner being like, oh, it's good. We like to break. We like to take stoppages. It's good to have a little break because then we're forced to get back together.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Like,
I understand
you guys just did this. Like, that's part of it. It's like, you just did this. Work out a longer deal. How about that? Let's start with that. Put 20 years on paper or something. Let's get over whatever the nonsense is. Is there anything else they want besides cap and floor? Like, I haven't heard a single and the legitimate problem is one side wants one thing, definitively doesn't want the other, and vice versa. So I guess good luck. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. You guys want opposing things.
Hence why there's going to be this situation. Someone says, hey, I agree with you, but sometimes, it has to happen no matter what, just to make things. I understand negotiations, deadlines, and all that kind of stuff's per action and yada, yada. But like, I don't think the sport could afford multiple months of a strike, of a lockout. That would be devastating with the entertainment dollars that are being spread to other places already as is and everything that exists with other sports. So I doubt we'll talk about this for a while, but it'll be something heading into next season and the year after, obviously, with that offseason. December of 2026 is actually when this would expire.
Trash of the day.
All right, this one takes us to WJAC-TV in Pennsylvania. All right?
Okay.
Like, you shouldn't do this anyway, but if you're going to have some substances in your car, maybe
like illicit substances?
Yeah, you might want to be extra careful while driving.
Makes sense.
So officials,
like if I was driving illegally with an illegal substance, I should
riding dirty.
Yeah, that's smart. Smart.
Yeah. So
I forgot my license at home. I was driving without a license for like a week. No, I haven't now. But I drove without my license for like a week.
Did you you empty your wallet, clean your wallet?
My wife needed it for like filling out a form, and then I just forgot, and then I'd given it to her. So I didn't realize I didn't have it.
Good thing you didn't get pulled over then.
Yeah. Right.
Really
so
good thing.
This story, police say, two individuals are each facing a variety of drug-related charges. Police say troopers discovered a 57-year-old woman also in the backseat who was, quote, barely alive. They got pulled over. According to the complaint, 64-year-old for allegedly following another vehicle too closely. So just following in a construction zone way too closely on I-80 there in Pennsylvania. Police said in the front passenger seat was a gentleman who was determined to have several warrants out for his arrest as well. And then as they were in this vehicle, they found multiple substances. There was also this woman that was barely alive, passed out. They believe that the bag had fentanyl in it, and a glass smoking device was found on the ground. Overall, there was a total of, let's see, what was the weight on it, of drugs that were actually in the vehicle.
I don't know that it matters.
Well,
3 pounds, it says.
3 pounds. 1 felony charge of
3
manufacturing.
pounds? Oh, man, yeah, that's a lot.
Delivering or possession with intent to manufacture. The update on this, I just saw they updated the story this morning since we've done this. The woman that was found in the backseat of the car ended up dying from fentanyl overdose on this thing
So
as
this
well.
guy was with a half-dead woman in the backseat.
Yes. That's maybe why they were following the vehicle
Right up
close.
on the side of the bumper of somebody else through a construction zone. You got to be like 10 and 2. I guess you're probably not thinking about that if you're on meth. You're probably not thinking about the rules you should follow in traffic if you're on a hard drug at that exact moment, right? Can we all admit? That might be part of the problem here.
I think that's accurate as well.
Yeah, probably not too focused on
3 packages containing a total of 3 pounds of meth were found in the trunk of the vehicle, as well as 14 stamp bags of fentanyl on the back seat of the vehicle.
14?
Dang. How old are these people?
Various ages. The passenger seat was 35-year-old. Driver was 64, and then I believe the woman that died, I guess, is 57.
50s, yeah. Dang.
So, yeah, that...
I didn't know about the death part. I wouldn't have done the story if I knew someone died. But
It got dark there in a hurry, man.
That was the update this morning.
Drugs are bad is really the lesson of this story, and can get you at any age, as you mentioned, as somebody who's in their 30s and in their 50s and 60s.
That's correct.
You've been at it for a while. If you were like, you're still like.
Well, these people weren't just doing it. They were
3 pounds of
clearly
meth.
distributing. They had 3 pounds of it, so they weren't just. It wasn't just for them. Yeah. In Pennsylvania. That's the trash of the day.
If someone offered you $1 billion,
oh jeez, here we go,
and you had to try to be a drug dealer for a year, and you had to risk all the legal consequences, would you do it? You get the $1 billion up front, but you got to be a full blown drug dealer for 1 year.
Like a big time drug dealer, or just
like this amount. You got to deal in pounds.
No, it's not worth spending. It's not worth spending. I don't know what the penalty is.
You're not selling Drew a dime bag.
It's not
something more.
It's
than
not
that.
worth. I don't know what these people are facing. 20 years in prison or something like that. No, it's $1 billion is not worth.
You'd be a first time offender,
Yeah, that doesn't change.
No,
that doesn't matter.
There's not a price of 20 years of my freedom. There's not a price tag on that.
I'm not saying you have to deal with hundreds of pounds.
You said you
not
had to.
Was it Esteban Loaiza? Didn't he get caught with 80 pounds or something once?
You said you have to do it for a year.
Not a former ain't. That's a hell of a pull.
1 year. Yeah. He got busted for
something.
For traveling with cocaine.
The question is, Cody, would you do this?
He asked the question, so
Look,
you have kids. You have a wife and kids.
That's why I can't.
No way.
I can't believe you're hesitating. You're hesitating
it's a year,
on this.
maybe I'd be, what
so
are the odds most drug dealers get caught in a year?
Oh, jeez. No, but you have to actively be doing it. You're going to get caught.
Yeah, it's concerning.
Because you might be following somebody too closely.
No. I'm following the rules. I wouldn't worry about that.
I follow. I might deal drugs, but I follow all the traffic rules. That's what
I'm saying. If I am, this is the point of your trash of the day. If you don't, it's always the thing. Don't commit a crime while you're committing a crime. That's a classic crime stuff. Don't break the law while you're breaking the law.
If you get stopped for whatever reason, that's what you'll say. I follow all the traffic laws. I do deal, but yes.
Yeah, no. The answer there's no dollar amount for freedom for not being behind bars.
Agreed.
And I know some people will say there is, but no.
This is the problem. Esteban Loaiza was arrested for being pulled over driving 120 miles an hour, and then later was caught with 44 pounds. I overestimated of cocaine.
44 pounds.
44 pounds of cocaine.
Is there something that people have against Winnetonka, Cody, where you went because because
they
the text line
we got a bad rap and it's nonsense.
People are talking about you trying to ruin people's lives on the text line.
Who's laughing my mind?
I think
no one's offering you $1 billion.
I think they're trying to say that not only would you be risking your own jail time, but you would be ruining other people's lives in the process of selling the drugs.
I said I don't think I'd do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes
if they get caught, do they lose the $1 billion or can they still keep the $1 billion?
No, you gotta keep it. You gotta keep it no matter
let's
what.
Call it 20. Let's call it 20 years behind bars.
But you gotta do the jail time. And like the
I was gonna say,
drug
because
dealing's
with
like a
$1 billion
non-for-profit essentially. You're not operating. You're not getting more money on top of it. That's a margin thing.
I was like,
the billions for that.
Nonprofit drug
people
dealer.
have paid off stuff before. I'm not. That's what I was going to ask. Is the follow up is do you get to? Would you be able to pay off your jail time essentially? Because I'm sure that happens.
You can get a real good lawyer. You got the bill in front, so you can get a really, really good lawyer. You know?
My goodness. That is the trash of the day. Up next, we get to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. One pending free agent for the Chiefs might have a stronger market than we realize. We'll tell you what that means for another option on the defense next.
This is Cody and Gold on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Hey, Missouri sports fans, I've got good news. Underdog is available to play in your state. This basketball season, when your favorite stars score, you have an opportunity to win money by watching sports over an Underdog. I was watching the Kansas game last night, right? Maybe you were on Hunter Dickinson's lower number of points. It's really easy over there. You went up to 1,000 times your money. All you do is choose your favorite players, stats, sports, higher or lower, right? Points, assists, rebounds, build an entry, create those selections in basketball, and then try to win some money. You can play with as little as $1. You can win up to $1,000, so you can really turn $1 into $1,000 with your basketball knowledge. Over billions have been won. They have over 100,000 five-star reviews. So check out Underdog. Download the Underdog app today. Sign up using that promo code TAPP, T-A-P-P, to unlock a special offer for up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with that promo code TAPP. Claim that special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon that first deposit. Must be 18 plus and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy Ops rates. Terms apply. Concern with your play. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Hi, it's me, your USPS Ground Advantage shipment. Just left the warehouse and hitting the road.
I know. Just got the notification.
Great. Smooth sailing so far. I'm almost there.
Yes, I know. I get all the updates.
Made it. Safe and sound.
I know.
Well, did you know I was with USPS the whole time?
Oh, yeah. I know.
Keep your business in the know with the USPS Ground Advantage service. Visit USPS.com/in-the-know.
Getting engaged? At Shane Company, we'll help you find the perfect diamond. This is your engagement ring, aka only your life's most important piece of jewelry. No need to worry. As gemstone experts since 1929, we handpick only the most beautiful natural and lab-grown diamonds cut to our high standards in every price range. We have diamonds in all shapes and sizes, ready to compare side by side right here in our store. Come see for yourself at Shanco.com or at your local store. No appointment necessary. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Hi, it's me, your USPS Ground Advantage shipment. Just left the warehouse.
I know. Just got the notification.
Made it.
Yes, I know. I get all the updates.
Stay in the know with USPS Ground Advantage service. Visit USPS.com/in-the-know.
Let Popeyes do the fishing while you enjoy our signature seafood that you'll love, like our delicious flounder fish sandwich or crispy shrimp tackle box. So come give them a try before they're gone, y'all. Limited time at participating U.S. restaurants.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it.
Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 to learn more. With AutoPay plus taxes and fees, plus $5 per line without AutoPay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Motorola Edge on us with 24 monthly bill credits and new line for well-qualified customers, plus tax and $35 per line connection charge. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this. If something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out, so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This report is brought to you by Care Now Urgent Care. Find one near you at carenow.com.
Care Now Urgent Care has 15 Kansas City area locations open 7 days a week. From injuries and illnesses to school and sports physicals, Care Now Urgent Care is here to help you feel better fast. Find a location near you at carenow.com and use our convenient web check-in today.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Welcome in to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Every day at 11:30 with Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
Yeah, at some point we will give away a free Z-Man for a year from our friends at Joe's. They were in studio earlier today, dropped off some sandwiches, dropped off free Z-Man for a year to one lucky listener. We'll do that maybe in the noon or 1 o'clock hour today.
Because they got Z-Mans at the K this year out in right field if you missed
It's going to be tempting every time you go out, though, to I'll just go grab a...
Especially if you haven't had one in a while, because you and I both know we both like Joe's or whatever, so kind of tempting to be in there. I don't hate the idea of just getting a Z-Man while I'm there.
But let's go across the parking lot for a little bit here. Chiefs Red Half Hour. And we know that Charles Omenihu is a free agent. I think we both would like him back. I wonder if this update changes your feeling on him. Maybe it makes it even more likely you would like him back because Jordan Schultz, remember we're Team Schultz on this show. I'm still trying to get him back on the show. I'm efforting that. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But Jordan Schultz reported late last night that defensive tackle Tershawn Wharton is a name who could exceed expectations in free agency next week. 8.5 sacks last year, including the playoffs. He's only 26 years old, so he's in his prime. He goes on to mention the interior defensive line market has been active, with several teams showing interest in Wharton among other available names. Now, look, I think we all know this works. This is clearly information he's getting from his agent, so I don't want to act like it's definitive. But what's the deal for Turk Wharton going to look like? Is he going to have way more options than we thought? You start looking at what the Chiefs need at defensive tackle. Yeah, Chris Jones. And other than that, not much left, right? Charles Omenihu is a free agent. Turk Ward's a free agent. Derek Nottie. They need somebody else, whether it's Turk Ward or Charles Omenihu or just a name that they haven't had part of the organization, has to be part of that defensive line next year. I still am very interested in Charles Omenihu, but because of age, is Turk Ward getting more money than we think?
So maybe I'm misreading this because Jordan Schultz obviously has a pretty good inroad into the NFL free agency market, but like you said, this is coming from the agent side. Doesn't make any sense to me that he would have a market. He is still an undrafted free agent. He was available last year on a one-year deal. He had a great year, 6.5 sacks, 8.5 total, including the postseason. He had a great run. So I'm not saying nobody's going to give him a contract. I would just like to also point out something I think Drew and some others and Binkley on the Character Concerns podcast. It is very deep at defensive tackle. Very.
In the draft, yeah.
And so if the defensive tackle draft class is pretty deep and he's a former undrafted guy coming off a career year, I don't know that there's going to be just this infinitely strong market in order to bring him back. Maybe the Chiefs are deciding between, they'll have to decide between signing Charles Omenihu and signing Turk Wharton. I think it might actually be that they have to decide between signing Turk Wharton or signing Ike Bolton. And if those are the choices put in front of me, bring me Omenihu, bring me Wharton, and I'll figure out Bolton. If I get to choose 2 out of those 3 free agents, I'm going on the Turk Wharton end because I do think he's a valuable player. He's a good defensive lineman who brings value to the team. But if I got to go to the draft for it too, okay, I guess so be it. I'd still choose Omenihu, the outside pass rusher.
I think it's easier to find the Nick Bolton replacement in the draft, even though there's a lot of depth on the defensive line. I just think in terms of year one starter, we've seen them do that with guys in the past like Nick Bolton and Willie Gay. And Willie Gay had a little bit slower start because it was the COVID year and everything when he came into the league and everything. But this definitely is an agent pushing some of the info out there. So what's that deal? Is it like how many years? Getting a 2 or 3 year deal, 2 years guaranteed for what? I mean, I'm trying to think of even the range of money a Turk Warden type would get. If you go back to where that, as you said, last year he was only coming off of 2 sacks. That's the difference. In his entire career prior to this past year, he had like in 4 years he had 4, 6, 7 sacks in his first 4 years, and then last year he had 6.5 in the regular season, and I guess in postseason bumped it up to 8.5. But he had 6.5 sacks last year, and yeah, he's only 26. I'm still very interested in Charles Omenihu just because I know it wasn't just a 1 year thing. Like he's done it throughout his career, and anytime he's been available for the Chiefs, Charles Omenihu's been a problem for teams. And stands out when you watch the game. Turk Warden had a nice season. I don't know if I watched and thought, man, he's standing out every single time. You know, you worry about, if I was another team signing him, you worry about, hey, what happens when he's not with Chris Jones if you're Turk Warden? Like, I know Charles Omenihu did it before coming to Kansas City, too, a little bit. No disrespect to Turk Warden, but
when you get a beat next to Chris Jones, your job's probably a little easier. Yep.
So I don't think, maybe we're way off. I don't think his price is going to be so crazy where the Chiefs couldn't retain him.
I think it's going to be like 2 for $20. I mean, again, I could be way off here.
Who would you rather have just between the two? But let's say both were identical contracts, knowing the age, knowing the history.
Omenihu and
let's say they both were 2 for $20, and I don't think they'll both be that.
Outside pass rusher. Yeah. But that's because of the draft.
And Omenihu's going to get more than that.
And because they still have Chris Jones. If it were no Chris Jones and they didn't have a deep defensive tackle thing, I might feel different about it, right? There's value in getting pressure from the interior line, right? But just based on the way that this would work, I just don't really understand. He just said team showing interest, and he said expected to a name who could exceed expectations. I think a lot of what you're saying is what George, like what you're probably saying is the truth about it, which is his agent is trying to make it seem like he's got a lot of people out here vying for his business, but he is a day what free agent. We talk about this all the time. So the NFL views it this way too. Day one free agents are the names that you would expect. There aren't that many this year, but Chris Godwin.
Monday, the legal tampering window.
Yeah. So like Monday's a day one free agent. The biggest names signing the biggest contracts. Not the guys getting 2 for 20, 2 for 30, whatever. Not those guys. Those are day 4.
Yeah,
those are
Friday.
sometimes second week contracts.
That'll be either late in the first week, like next weekend, not this weekend, next weekend, or it'll be the next week after that, the third wave kind of stuff.
Well, especially if we're talking like if he's got a lot of suitors, he might just wait and see what those teams do with those higher level free agents in the first place. Like, okay, let me survey my options actually and take a little bit more time. It is interesting because it's particularly defensive tackle, Cody, but even edge rushers in general as well. Like
just defensive line, right? I mean,
the Chiefs could take a very solid, very good edge rusher, probably still at 31. It depends on I think it all comes back to what the plan is at left tackle, dare I say, because if your plan is we're not taking a tackle at 31, then I think your options, I think you're taking a defensive lineman at 31. I think that's just what you do, unless Luther Burden's there or whatever the case is. You take a defensive lineman because you could solve your problems where you're not replacing anybody, you're just filling in the depth. So when Turk needs to come out or when Charles needs to come out, you're not, no offense to Felix, but
they're gone a year or two from now.
If that guy can bounce right away up to that number 2 or that number 3 edge rusher spot where, hey, George Karlaftis needs a breather, we need somebody to come in, we're going to bring in a guy that just had 6 sacks in college, played in the SEC, and knows exactly what he's doing. Maybe that's the direction they go, and it just depends on what they're going to do with that first round, I think.
A little update in the NFL just moments ago. Adam Schefter tweeted, this is definitely a trickle-down effect from the Chiefs tagging Trey Smith. The Rams are trading former Pro Bowl guard Jonah Jackson to Chicago. He was with Detroit for 4 years and then with Ben Johnson, and now is going to reunite with him in Chicago. So Ben Johnson's familiar with him, but remember, the Bears were thought to be either a trade candidate or just, hey, they're going to sign Trey Smith along with Tennessee. Well, now the Bears went out and traded for a Pro Bowl guard. That's directly a result of they know they're not getting Trey Smith. That move doesn't happen otherwise. So.
We all know, and again, this goes back to the same problem that exists in the entire draft. There's just not that many good offensive linemen. Like these teams that have offensive line trouble, they're going to continue to have this issue as a result of the fact that there just aren't that many good options available on the free agent market and at the free agent market at all. And then it's like, wait, so if you're the Bears and you need like 3 guys in the offensive line, Gold, you can't solve them all in the draft. You have to solve some in free agency. And in free agency, there aren't any guys available. So
they give up a 5th round pick for this kid.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. I don't blame him for that. This also tells you, again, like you said, go back to Trey Smith, there's a reason why they tagged him.
Yeah, and today is the franchise tag deadline. 3 o'clock our time is the latest, and we'll get into to Sam Darnold a little bit later on in the show because the reports are that Sam Darnold is going to be a free agent, that they're not going to tag him. But we'll know that officially around 3 o'clock this afternoon. Just a couple things in the NFL. Also, the Cowboys made a big signing, re-signing, I should say, of their star defensive tackle. And I'll be honest, I don't know how to pronounce his last name at all. But I don't know if you guys saw that news come around.
Yeah, he was another guy who's franchise tagged.
Yeah, and
or
so
was expected to be.
Exactly. And so who knows? Maybe the Chiefs get something done here very soon. But the Cowboys in defensive tackle, was it Odi Zigwa, I don't know, reached an agreement on a 4-year, $80 million deal that includes $58 million guaranteed, $20 million signing bonus. So the Cowboys recently, since August, have given 4 years, $240 to Dak, 4 years, $136 to CeeDee Lamb, and now 4 years, $80 to Osa.
I mean, they're trying to contain, like, they have a quarterback who makes a ton of money. We just looked that up yesterday. Remember, he's a $96 million cap hit. If that's the position you're in, you have to try to take advantage of it while you have the chance to take advantage of it. Dak Prescott's not getting younger. There's a lot of other good quarterbacks. Now there's a young quarterback, maybe future star in your division. Like you got Eagles in your same division, just won the Super Bowl. They're trying to keep up with the Joneses, not to mention the Joneses.
I was going to say.
The actual.
I see what you're doing there.
They're trying to, like, can I be blunt for a second? Jerry Jones wants to win a Super Bowl before he's dead.
Of course.
And so he's not going to be like cap conscious or like, let these guys go into free agency and we'll build it better next year. Next year, he might be dead. And so he's not taking the chance that's the case.
Well,
how old is he?
I'm not sure.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I'm being truthful.
Yeah.
You did say
he's 82. He'll be 83 in the middle of the season. No, there's no doubt. Like, he is trying to win one before he passes away. Unfortunately, how he's trying to win one is not going to equate to him winning one. What was weird is he didn't speak at the end. I guess he normally at the end of the combine, he typically would do like an interview right outside his bus or whatever. And I guess he declined to comment and said, I'll talk when I get back. And everybody's like, whoa, what is it? No, Jerry Jones says he doesn't want to talk to the media. Is he okay? Someone please check on this man.
He's busy getting his deal done.
I guess. Maybe that was the case. Thinking of deals that could get done, I think with the update we got from Forbes Sports last night that Donovan Smith believes he's now healthy and ready to go in 2025. And maybe the reason why the Chiefs did not sign him, we now know, is he had a hip injury that nobody else thought he was 100% healthy. That's why they chose DJ Humphries, among maybe other reasons, instead of Donovan Smith. But he's good to go. Well, he's coming off an injury. DJ Humphries is still basically coming off an injury. Only played for 3.5 quarters last season. I mean, that's all he played in the NFL for Kansas City. They're both free agents. The Chiefs' best plan should be convincing both Humphries and Donovan Smith that, hey, we know you're both vets. Come into camp and battle for the job. If you can convince them to do that, I'm signing Humphries. I'm signing Donovan Smith. Hell, I'm working even Jawan Taylor at left tackle in the offseason because I think those three are their only options. I do not want them trying to bring in Ronnie Stanley and overpaying. I don't want them overpaying for Cam Robinson and giving me average guard play for a lot of money. And we just discussed the draft, right, and how it's very unrealistic. That they can go and get a day one starter at tackle. A lot of tackles are day one starters, but most people think they'll be converted to guard. So I know that this solution isn't going to appease everybody, but if you can convince, and I don't know if they can, Humphries and Donovan Smith to truly battle it out, that's your best shot.
I would say that would, like, if you gave me, like we said this, like, if I was Brett Veach, I think that should probably be plan A. 2 vets up against each other. And I think this could include Tyron Smith if he still wants to play. 2 vets, battle it out. 1 wins. And if, like, I understand how this works. I think legitimately to convince him to do this, you got to tell DJ Humphries, like, it's your job to lose, dude. If you stay healthy, I mean, you're definitely the starter. And you got to tell Donovan Smith, you're not getting a starting job anywhere else. Where do you think the best chance for you to start is? The guy who didn't play last year? Probably him. Like, we're going to be looking for anything, and that we've started you at left tackle in a Super Bowl win. So we got some confidence in you more than we got in this guy, DJ. Come on, we're just telling him it's his job to lose because that's what we had to tell him. You guys are really in a competition. Not to say you have to lie or anything outside of that, but just like...
You're playing both sides.
You're telling them different stories to convince them to do what Alex is doing. Plan B, is there even a good plan B, or is plan B just Humphries and a 3rd-round tackle? Right? I mean, that's legit. There is no C. Those are the only two plans we have left remaining. Do you have a different one? Sign Cam Robinson as somebody's plan C or D or B or whatever. It wouldn't be.
I just don't think value-wise. For the production we think you're going to get out of Cam Robinson, the dollar amount required to pull that off, I just don't think it is a good way to operate. I would rather just say, all right, we're gonna have a bunch of options that we're gonna play this thing out. We're not gonna go into training camp solely thinking it's DJ Humphrey's job. No, we're gonna convince Donovan Smith to compete. And my pipe dream is still to have Juwan Taylor get work at left tackle and let me at least find my answer out to the question: can he play left tackle? I think they probably aren't willing to do that, but I would be interested in finding that out. And then if you want to still draft one, I don't hate that because you always need offensive line depth. Just 3 different guys to make it happen. And one of them, I would think, can be average. That's all you're average for 17 games, please.
And then the guy behind him not be like unplayable. Because like Kingsley ended up being unplayable. You can't, like, that's it. It's like if one of these guys are out for 3 weeks, let's just say they get them both in, and DJ Humphries gets the start. And then week 7 through 10, he can't play. I just need a guy. Donovan Smith is not unplayable. Kingsley was. Maybe Kingsley won't be by week 7 next year. Seems unlikely based on the fact that they're already talking about him at guard. But, like,
I just worry that you can't convince both of them to do that. They're 2 vets, and they're about 31 or whatever. I just wonder if now it requires a better opportunity elsewhere, and that's something we just don't know yet, if there is. But if there's not, can you convince 2 guys that are prideful, obviously think they both should start
and have started
and all that, and they're towards the end of their career at least? Can you convince them to do that? Because boy, oh boy, I think that's actually the best scenario heading into St. Joe if that's the case.
If I could build out a scenario, it would look exactly like that. The only problem I think sometimes we discuss ideas on the show and we're admitting that it's probably too pie in the sky.
Yeah.
This feels like one of those ones that, like, I don't think is a 0% chance Gold, but I do think probably lands in that, like, 5 to 10% chance because of the moving parts. You got to convince both of them to sign for an amount that makes sense. Essentially, like, you need the amount to combine to be 1-year deals worth of starting tackle money between the 2 of them. You're not trying to pay them both starter tackle money, and I think Donovan Smith would obviously cost less than DJ Humphries, I think. And so, like, it's threading a very tight needle. Brett Veach is a very good general manager. Not saying that's not plausible. I'm just saying that adds into a little bit of a challenge where we're going to, like, I think just run into, like, kind of a fine line of can they make all of those moving pieces work and actually convince these teams to do it. Brett Veach has got, I don't know where this ranks. We usually do this somewhere in the offseason. Like, for Brett Veach, this is like a medium level offseason for him. It's not, is it the worst offseason he's had to overcome? No, I don't think that. Pretty good at wide receiver. He's set currently at 4 of the 5 offensive line spots. I think he doesn't have to he doesn't have to replace his future Hall of Fame tight end. He's got to replace a safety, maybe. And this is if nobody comes back. A safety, a linebacker, 1 to 2 defensive linemen.
And a left tackle.
And a corner. He needs corner depth.
And I think a running. I mean, he didn't.
It's not a look.
There's
when
a lot of spots. There's a lot of spots, man.
Rough.
Like
I felt pretty good there at the beginning of that sentence, and then towards the end, I'm like, well, you got some work to do.
There's some solutions that are easier, right? Like the running back thing, I wouldn't even waste free agency on that. I would just go and draft one and say I'm going to have the rookie with Pacheco and Carson Steele basically going into next season. I would be fine with that depending on the rookie who they draft. And the left tackle, we just acknowledged what we think they should do, and basically throwing a bunch of different bodies at it and seeing if it works kind of thing.
Yeah.
And except this time do it in the offseason instead of middle of the season, which is that's essentially what they did.
In the middle of the season, they did do that, but they had to do it on the cheaper, quicker way, right? That's why it was Humphries and
let's say they do the left tackle thing the way you guys are talking about, and they bring Humphries and Smith in. Who would you want in the first round take? Like position? Wide receiver, defensive corner, line, or defensive line?
At that point, I would say defensive line or wide receiver would be my two.
You would wait for corner until 2nd or 3rd round then?
Yeah.
If you made me rank them.
Because obviously it depends on who's available.
The truth is I'd be fine with any of those 3. But if you made me rank them based on the position I would want the most if they did that at left tackle, it would still be defensive line first, corner 2nd, wide receiver 3rd. I still think there's a possibility of Hollywood Brown or some other wide receiver coming in here.
Yeah, we'll know by draft time. Yeah,
which pushes that need further down, obviously. So, I'm just kind of envisioning in a way in which I think it's more likely that problem is solved than a free agent corner. I mean, they could bring in, technically the Eagles have cut 2 corners today or yesterday in the last 24 hours. They cut Darius Slay and James Bradbury, who did not play most of this season because he suffered an injury that kept him out a good chunk of the year. They cut him as well. So, they've put some corners on the street. Those are usually available a little bit. And I don't think they need a number 1 corner. They need
of course.
You know?
Yeah, it's weird. The Justin Reed is out of all the free agents, he's the one that nobody's talking about. Right? You know what I mean? We've talked about Charles Menahue, and we've talked about, of course, about Nick Bolton, and at the time, Trey Smith, even though he's going to be tagged now. And Justin Reed, I feel like are just all well, yeah, he's not coming back. I feel like and he was a really good player for them. It's interesting. We've just kind of seen what they do at that position.
I guess it's because that's it. I would worry more, Gold, if anytime I've seen them replace the position over and over again, I don't care. It's not that I think he's a great leader. I think he's a great teammate. He seems like he's a great person. And he was a good player for Kansas City. Helped win a couple of championships, right? 2 Super Bowls under Justin Reed. He was no better or worse than Tyrann Mathieu, who they let leave. They signed for identical contracts, just a little younger. And they have spent quite a few draft resources at safety over the last few years, and all those guys look like they can play at least a little.
Yeah.
Shamari Connor, Brian Cook, and Jaden Hicks from last year. I'm not even sure they have to draft a safety to replace him or sign a safety to replace him.
They have.
They can
They've already drafted.
Yeah, they can hypothetically just play all the dudes they have in house. And I know that they have been doing the free agency thing at safety to go with it, and they might still do that, and just because they play Connor more like a linebacker a lot of times than they necessarily always play him like a safety, or they play him like a corner or something. He plays all over. But, legitimately, if they've done it more than one time, it's hard to get overly concerned, isn't it, when that's a position they've been able to replace?
It is interesting how because I think that was something, Cody, to your point, that came up where Brett Veach and Spags and Andy have drafted a year ahead of the need.
Yeah, smart teams
where,
do.
Reed is going to be a free agent, but hey, we already drafted Hicks, we've already drafted Connor, we've already spent the resources, ahead of time to get those DBs. It really goes back to, like we've talked about, the tackle, where if you know that you can solve that outside of the draft, it makes the way that you go through things, I think, a whole lot easier. Where if you don't go tackle in free agency or whatnot, and you say you need to draft them, all of a sudden, where do you spend your resources, and where do you get a defensive lineman second round? How badly do you think you need another wide receiver? All these things trickle down to what do you do at the tackle spot?
Yeah, the draft just gets so much clearer once we know through free agency what they do. It'll become a lot. It'll probably be able to be narrowed down. Yeah, once the league year starts and everything like that. A reminder: we had Matt Miller from ESPN, their draft analyst, on the show earlier. If you missed some of that, we'll bring that back in the 1 o'clock hour today. We asked him about the tackle situation, about linebacker, about also a local product in Luther Burden, and where could he go? Does he believe some of the mock drafts? He called those people crazy that have Luther Burden not going in the first round.
He said he's the best wide receiver in the draft, I think.
Yeah,
he went
said
as far
he's
as to say
the number one wide receiver in the draft.
So we'll have that again coming up a little bit later. Drew, I have an update. I have someone that just texted in that's a listener of the show that says they raise your bid if you missed it. Drew is trying.
They raise a racing wheel. Racing wheel.
He doesn't trust Facebook Marketplace after paying for his own couch. Yes, you heard me right.
It's more of my mistake, but still good reason to my mind.
So he's asking listeners to buy a Logitech racing wheel
G29
with pedals and everything. Yep. Somebody that listens to the show that I know is good for it says $125. They'll pick it up Friday night at Kelly's when we do our bar tab. That's the new bid for you.
I mean, but you got to sell it now.
I want to be honest. Do I need to commit now?
Oh, I think he's just putting it. He's offering you $125. Yeah.
All right. So 125. If nobody by the end of the show has raised her, you know what? I might even say by 12:30.
This is a good friend. You got to make deals with friends sometimes. This is what happens when you take it to the marketplace.
He'll pick it up Friday night at the event. That's what he says. I have a text. I know who it is.
If they're texting you directly, they're probably good for it.
All right, you know what?
Are they good for it? You know your friends better than other people. You know which friends aren't good for it.
Would your friend mind if we know his first name?
Oh, Austin? He's a listener to the show. Cody, you might know him too.
Sold to Austin for $125.
Wow!
Wow. There you go.
Congratulations, Austin.
He says sold. See you Friday.
Deal's a deal, man. I don't know what to say.
That was a bump from the other bid that was there. A deal's a deal.
All right. You can make arrangements. I'll connect.
Okay.
Put people in, I
mean,
connect with people so they can arrive at the same time and put it in the other person's car. You know the deal.
This is not a drug deal, Cody. This is I have a racing wheel. I could walk into Kelly's with it and just have it with me. It's not a problem.
You walking into Kelly's
the whole time? That's annoying.
No. I'm saying I could. I'm not going to. Cash or Venmo.
Someone says, Drew, I'll buy your wheel. Venmo me 50 so I know you're serious.
Even though Alex knows Austin, if he asks you to send him money first, don't do it, dude.
I should tell him. By the way, ask him to send you a few bucks first.
Hell no.
I just want to make sure those deposits are working. You know? And then Dusty got scammed like a month ago.
Yeah, but that was just like a normal scam. And then a lot of people have been getting scammed with the whole toll thing. You've seen that, right?
I've gotten those texts.
Where people, even if they're not in, even if you, what's tricky for some people, I think they got caught because they were on a toll recently and then they got the text saying, hey, pay your toll, pay your toll bill. When, no, like K-Tag on the Kansas side, they don't text you if you have a bill due. You just go online or they'll mail you something if you owe. He says, perfect, by the way, Drew. See you guys Friday. He'll give you cash.
Thank you, man. Cold, hard cash.
From the 913, Drew, if you're going to treat the listeners as if we are Facebook Marketplace, 10% of your sales have to go to the garage sale. I'll dedicate 10% of that.
$12.50
towards a bid towards the garage sale.
And on the show.
And if it doesn't win me anything, I will donate to the cause for sure.
There you go. All right, up next, we get to what's trending, then back into just how long one of the legends for the Royals will still be playing and what history tells us about that next.
Cody and Gold.
I didn't sleep well. I was drunk.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. 96.5, The Fan.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold once again telling you about our friends over at Centric, and we've all been dealing with this brutal weather in Kansas City. Maybe you work outside and look, you've just had enough. Well, you can start a brand new career with our friends over at Centric because they allow you to advance your career on your time with their flexible schedules.
You choose your curriculum, go with that new career path, and stop worrying about what the weather will do for you. Call our guy, Russ Mondry. He's been with Centric for 16 years and will be with you to guide you every step of the way. Go to Centric.com now.
A body in motion stays in motion until you feel that muscle tighten. KRT helps you get back in action with all natural pain relief in just minutes. Learn more at krtrelief.com.
Call Aspen Lawn and Pest Control. Our iconic blue trucks and expert team get it right the first time. Award-winning full-service lawn care and pest control since 1985. Call today for a free estimate. Visit aspenlawn.com.
College basketball is reaching its most exciting stretch of the season. Right now, new customers on FanDuel get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $150 extra bucks to bet on everything from conference clashes to tournament upsets and even who's cutting down the nets. If you've been waiting to join FanDuel, there's no better time. The app's easy to use, and when you win, you'll get paid instantly. So visit FanDuel.com/Alex and get on the college hoops action before March takes over. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-444-9919. 800-444-9919. Again, that's 800-444-9919.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out.
Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the things that just will never come out. Going down in a real straight. Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh fights odor in just one wash, guaranteed.
Spring forward with real unlimited data from Straight Talk this tax season and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2024 with select plans. So you can stream games during Mad March hours, check the weather for April showers, and watch gardening videos about May flowers. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 4/15/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires purchase of single line gold unlimited plan or higher. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out, so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Listen to Cody and Gold every day at 10:30 for the Fiery Hot Sevens contest, where you can win a $30 instant scratch ticket, and one person will win the grand prize, a Bobby Witt Jr. autographed jersey and framing. All thanks to our friends at Kansas Lottery.
Hey, Royals fans, it's Vern. The Hot Stove Show is back every Thursday night at 6 o'clock from spring training all the way up until opening day. This is your home for Royals baseball, 96.5 The Fan, KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, in Odyssey Sports Station.
What's trending?
What's Trending is presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. Number one college basketball last night in Houston. The Jayhawks fell to the Houston Cougars 65-59. It was actually close throughout the entire game. Kansas once again just turning the ball over. Brutal to watch on offense. They dropped to 19-11 on the season. Joe Lenardi after the game said he still believes they're going to be a 6 or 7 seed. He was asked by Scott Van Pelt, like, hey, this is more like an 8 or 9 seed team. And Lenardi believes they're still a step or two above those teams. But we'll see what the final week or so of the college basketball brings in terms of their seeding and whether or not the committee tries to do a made-for-TV type of seeding, because having Kansas play a number one seed would still be the primetime game on that opening round of their second weekend of the second game of the first weekend, I should say, of the NCAA tournament. Like, do you think the committee would say, oh, Kansas brand, we'd rather have them as an 8 seed just from hey, we get to have them play a number one seed in the second game?
Maybe. I mean, I don't rule it out, but also it's not like under-seeding them to put them in an 8, considering they're 1-8. I think Sam McDowell put out 1-8 in their last 9 games against teams in the top 49 of Ken Palm.
Yeah, I'm just based on what Lenardi said. Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's not out of the question. Certainly, they had a chance to win that game, and they turned the ball over 20 times.
Yeah,
wouldn't shoot, and we can talk about them later because I'm sorry, is there a single player on that like knows that you shoot the basketball in the hoop? Coit maybe, and Hunter Dickinson.
He's got to play more.
And then outside of that,
Nail played a lot better yesterday.
He could shoot.
No, he
looks like he's afraid to shoot. The whole team looks like they got the yips to shoot the ball.
Yeah, it's weird
KJ
though.
Adams too. He had like 5 chances to shoot that he didn't shoot.
Even in a loss, it's weird. Because of how still the turnovers. Because it was against the number 3 team in the country, I actually feel better about their chances to not be one and done in the tournament because of last night. And you're like, why? They lost, Gold. They had 20 turnovers. Because that was against the number 3 team in the country, and there was maybe some hope with David Coit. That's the only reason why.
Yeah. Next up on What's Trending, Yankees starting pitcher Luis Gill, will be shut down for at least 6 weeks with a high-grade lat strain. Boone announced yesterday he obviously was the Rookie of the Year, shut down feeling discomfort from his bullpen session last Friday, out 6 weeks. That's a tough one for the New York Yankees in the early going, but if it's only 6 weeks, they'll probably be okay. But he was the Rookie of the Year last year.
Elsewhere on what's trending, you guys remember there was that report late last week that, Hard Knocks couldn't find an NFL team, so they're going to do Hard Knocks college football with North Carolina. Not the case. North Carolina and Hard Knocks not going to happen after all. The deal fell through, according to Front Office Sports and others. It sounds like in the same report that cameras were already on campus. They were excited about it, all this kind of stuff, and then it got squashed. I think one insider was kind of insinuating that NFL owners, remember it was NFL Films does Hard Knocks, so NFL owners were not happy that they were going to do a college team. And that's what
none of you agreed. What do you want me to do? Like,
how is it?
No NFL teams wanted to do it. Exactly.
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
You don't get to complain if you don't agree to do it. Yeah.
That's what I think as well. But that's reportedly one of the reasons, because it wasn't that the North Carolina got out. They were excited. Sounds like to have them on campus, according to Front Office Sports.
When you pay Bill Belichick that kind of money, you cannot buy that level of publicity. I'm sure North Carolina was all about it. Next up on What's Trending, LeBron James is 1 point shy of being the first NBA player to reach 50,000 points. Play tonight at home against the Pelicans. He's averaging 25 points a game, so it's not a problem. He's 40. He's ridiculous. 40. He's averaging like 25, 8, and 8 or 25, 8, and 6
better numbers
or whatever.
than he was 13 years ago when he signed with the Heat.
And won MVP or whatever.
Could he play to 50?
No.
Could he play to 45?
Could? Yes. Will he?
I think he's got 2 years left. I think he's going to play till 40 or through 42.
He's playing at an incredibly high level considering his age.
No doubt.
Every night there's still some like lob dunk he's doing where he's like jumping from the rafters.
50,000 points. That's happening tonight. That's happening tonight against the Pelicans. Next up, you guys heard it earlier today during Fesco and Dusty. Vern's got a roundtable at Hollywood Casino coming up later on this month. It'll be the day after opening day. All of us from 96.5 The Fan are going to be there. More importantly, part of that roundtable with Vern, Michael Massey, and Kyle Isbell. It'll be at Hollywood Casino Friday, March 28th, 6 o'clock, plus a meet and greet after. It's going to be free, open to all listeners. So hope to see you guys out there. We'll tell you more about it as it gets closer. But that's going to be a really cool event, especially it'll be the day after, hopefully a win on opening day, feeling good about Massey and Isbell. And Vern will have plenty of good discussions with them, and we'll just be hanging out.
Lastly on What's Trending, second event, but, we're still trending. Friday, Kelly's, 6:30. We've continued to say it. We did well in the ratings. They gave us money. We want to give that money back to you in the form of a tab, a $1,000 tab to be specific, at Kelly's at 6:30. We'll see you out there. I did say one thing, and I keep forgetting to mention it. Bring some cash to tip, okay? Ponying up $1,000, just throw a little tip money. I got some tip money planned too, but, it'd be nice if we all tip our bartenders and make sure that we're being taken care of. We'll got those rounds on us at Kelly's Friday at 6:30.
That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold. Coming up in about 25 minutes or so, we will check in with our guy Josh Vernier out in Arizona. We'll talk more about the announcement today with the roundtable event, Q&A, going on at Hollywood and Hollywood Casino, that is, and we'll also get his perspective a little bit more on just even that Adam Duvall reports what Vern makes of all. That's, forever. I'm talking the rest of my life. Anybody that has the last name Duvall or talks about Duval County, which is what they were in Jacksonville discussing,
for them.
that's all I'm going to think about is Liam Cohen.
Duval.
That's it.
Duval.
Let's talk about Salvador Perez, though, and
Not
of course,
Duval.
no. Let's talk about Salvi and those chants that we'll hear at some point during this 2025 season at Kauffman Stadium, and where he's at in his career. He's coming off an unbelievable year. He was a Silver Slugger, but we all know, right? Father Time eventually will catch up. You hope it's not this year. You hope it's not next year. Trying to figure out how much longer is Salvador Perez playing in this league and playing for the Royals. Maybe those are two different questions, because the only comp that I could look at in recent history was Yadier Molina, who played when he was 39 years old. And maybe you could argue based on his stats that year it was 1 year too many. But he was still productive at age 38. And looking at Salvador Perez, we all know a Hall of Fame case gets stronger and stronger. The more playoff appearances he has. Obviously, the last year was a huge boost with the Silver Slugger Award win and everything like that. They already had him playing a few games less because of Freddie Fermin at catcher, and I think that'll continue to trend. How much longer do you think Salvi has? Because I look at Yachty. He played till he's 39. Why, assuming health, why can't Salvi play till he's 37, 38, and maybe even 39? I think he's very similar that he could do that exact same thing.
It's not out of the question. And I guess more importantly, he definitely seems like the kind of person who would want to do that. You and I both know athletes who are like not trying to play to whatever, 40 years old, 38, you're 35, right, guys? Get out of the league a lot sooner, depending on the level of player and whether you want to do it. My whole thing is like, so part of this is like, how many more years do I think they got? How many more years of high-level play do I think they got? And is his entire career still going to be in Kansas City? Signing that last deal made it far more likely that his entire career was going to be in Kansas City. But if you and I both think, and we do, that he's playing at least 3 more seasons at a big league level, he's only under contract for 2. Then there's an option year, which they could, then they can like bring him back or do this or do that and kind of make those decisions. But like the way you look at it, and a lot of it is, I think his chance of being like in the big leagues for that many years, no question, someone will sign him. You run into a problem with, does he finish his career here if the production ever takes a slip? Catcher is the single best position of depth in the entire organization. They have guys. I'm not saying they have guys as good as Salvi. He might be a future Hall of Famer. But Salvador Perez is only under full contract through the end of this year. You know that, right? Then next year, it is an option year. The Royals would have to pick up a $13.5 million option. Now, let's be honest. They've paid him $20 each of the last 2 years. If he plays anywhere close to the level he played last year, they're going to pick up that option very quick.
Wow, that's where I think they would have to
He'd have to have
an
a
extension.
really bad year.
More than even picking up the option, the question is, would there be a small extension involved if you still play at a high level, more than just doing the option?
And then you just say, how many more years do you want to do this, man?
And we know
Like,
for his
how many
Hall of
more
Fame
years do you wanna
case,
do it?
this applies to Salvi as much as it does for the Royals too, but Salvador Perez, part of his Hall of Fame case and a benefit he has is if you can say, and I think writers, the voters, weigh this, did he play his entire career with one team? It's big for Yachty. I think it's big for Salvi as well. If you're even a fringe guy, I think it's so rare in today's sport now that you play 15 plus years, let's call it, with one franchise. And that helps your case.
Well, I agree. And I think Salvador Perez maybe deep down knows that, but also we know how close they were to trading him. They sat him down in the office and they asked him if he wanted to be traded. He had made it seem like he was okay with and would have accepted being traded from the Royals at that time. And then they all got in a room and they talked out the possibility of, no, I actually like the path you're on. I like the direction you're on, and we're going to make this thing work. Let's try to make it work a little bit longer. And it did. They made the playoffs, and Salvador Perez had a great year, and he'll have even more lineup protection this year because Indio will be hitting at the top. So more guys to protect guys like Salvador Perez. And I think last year in the last 2 years, he's only caught in the 90s for games, but 2 years ago he got hurt for a chunk of time where he would have caught more. Because that's the other question. How much longer Gold will he catch? How much longer will he? Because I think part of his time and relative to play time is probably relative to the fact that can he continue to catch? Because I think he wants to do that as a part of his career, and he's continued to want to do that. He's missed time, so he's caught less game, and Freddie Fermin has caught more. But, like, at some point, and I hate to say this, but, like, when Caglione comes up, it creates this problem where, like, Caglione and Vinny can be on the same roster together. I kind of hope they are on the roster together. I think they will be. But, like, you need more DH innings because then someone can go from right and first and DH, and they can float. Vinny and Jack and Salvi can float. But the second Salvi needs more of those DH innings and less of those catcher innings, it becomes kind of like a problem with
it. It does. I just think so much of that, let's fast forward 2 years from now, a lot of this I think sorts itself out. Unfortunately, there's either a drop-off in play from anybody involved in this conversation. One of the guys isn't even in the big leagues yet. The other part is where's the organization out? Are they 2 years from now still competing for a division, or is it are they dropping back down? And that makes it easier to either move on from somebody or trade away. Hey, if they're still competing for the division, but now we're talking about trying to go get to the World Series and take that next step even more so, does that mean they're willing to trade one of those catching prospects that you were referencing that makes them very deep? Is that something they would have to pack? Hell, this year there's at least a small chance that if things
Jensen
are going
or
well,
Blake Mitchell or somebody else, you'd be having to get a good prospect back.
It depends on what
player back, but yeah.
That requires them being very much at the top of the AL Central and needing one. If they're like at the top of the Central, they need one more bat, or they're down a pitcher all of a sudden for the rest of the year. Will they be willing to do that? I think that can change this entire situation too. But Yadier Molina is the comp, in my opinion, for at least the longevity in the last 15
and
years.
And the offensive minded, and
Yeah.
he caught till the end. He didn't switch positions like Joe Mauer. He didn't switch position. Like, I can list you way more catchers that switch positions.
Sure.
Than stayed at catcher in their late 30s. No. Like, that's just not common and not the case. Salvi feels like the rare case, though. It seems like he's just going to be behind the dish forever.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll talk about the franchise tag deadline. That's at 3 o'clock this afternoon. We already know that the Chiefs are going to be placing that tag officially on Trey Smith. But there's a quarterback that may not have the tag placed on him. We'll get into that. Plus, Josh Vernier going to join us. We'll talk about Salvi's longevity coming up with him as well. But we know as we look ahead to the draft a little bit, like locally, this is not a name that's going to factor in. Maybe he ends up in the division, I guess, but not factor in for the Chiefs roster. I'm talking about Travis Hunter. Going to be one of the top
I
picks.
asked Matt Miller about him because he's a super intriguing guy.
Sure, and maybe he could end up in Las Vegas, so it might be someone that we see a lot. Hopefully not, because I think Travis Hunter is a heck of a player. But where does he play? Is he only playing corner? Is he only playing wide receiver? Lindsey Rhodes was on the Zach Gelb show, which is on our Infinity Sports Network, part of the Odyssey family, and she was talking about how there's some NFL owners that are going to be trying to force, maybe via ownership, Travis Hunter on one side or the other.
Everyone thinks he's a better corner. At least that seems to be consensus, right? When you talk to people, they like rate him out. He's a very good wide receiver. But I think that from talking to people, my sense was that they thought like really good corners are harder to find than like where he would fit into the wide receiver landscape. And so he could provide a team with more value at that position. Charles Davis, who works for NFL Network and CBS and will be on the draft desk for NFL Network, made, I think, a very interesting point, which is that ownership tends to get involved at this time of year. And the people who score touchdowns sell tickets and are exciting. And so maybe that kind of tilts him to a team viewing him in that way. I think if you do a split, it's probably it makes more sense to have him play primarily corner and then go out for a couple of packages as a wide receiver. It's hard for me to view the opposite happening. If you can sell him as a two-way player, and this is the thing that makes him generational, and like if an owner feels like they can sell tickets on that, and then there's pressure to use him in that way, I think that also leads me to corner with a smattering of wide receiver because you also need it to work.
That seems to be the consensus thought, that he's playing way more corner in the NFL, and it's way easier to have him play corner and design special packages for wide receiver versus play wide receiver and then we're going to have like a defensive package for you. That doesn't make as much sense.
Why not just let him be a full two-way player?
I think it's
if
the challenge.
He wants to do it.
Yeah, I think it's the challenge of that's what makes you generational, right? If that's the case. And I think this, much as everybody made about the snap count in college, doing that in an NFL game against the best in the world, 17 games. Now, look, maybe he can do that the first year or two of his career. I don't know, but you can't do that your whole career. I just think it's too challenging to play those kind of snaps at that level. It's one thing to do it in the Big 12 in Colorado or when you're playing North Dakota State early on in the year. Yeah. I don't think you can do that. And my guess that's part of the NFL like consensus thought on it must just be that they don't believe he can play those kind of snaps at this level.
I mean, but why not find out? Like, I'm sure for the longest time in baseball, they stopped believing someone could play two ways like Shohei.
Right.
And I'm not just saying that because Travis Hunter said what he's doing is harder than Shohei Ohtani, which you and I don't agree with, but that's fine. It's just, very few players will ever be given an opportunity or should be given an opportunity to do both at a full-time level. He did both at a full-time level in college. Why not find out? And we all agree, in college, he played Power 4 conference football and was like a 1,300-yard, 10-touchdown receiver, and then played, they don't call it, what's the version of All-Pro? Heisman level. All-American corner to go with it. So why not find out? Imagine for this. This might be the single greatest draft pick you ever make. You get a full-time, for one pick, you can get a full-time wide receiver and a full-time corner. I feel like I'd take the chance.
They're just flat out saying that he's not that, though. Like, I hear you. I just don't think they believe his body can hold up doing that. And you're saying, like, why not find out? I guess it's
held up so far.
Yeah, the question is, like, find out what's not finding out. That he gets hurt. Like, how do you find out he can't do it?
If the injuries begin, then you can limit the other position.
Yeah. That's risky, though.
Like, if Shohei Ohtani keeps getting an arm injury, he can just hit.
Yeah, we're talking about a top 5 pick. Like, you can end up, truly screwing up somebody's career. I think
just
it'll
think the
be
swing is the other side. What if you're right and he can play both?
I think corner, and then especially if he goes to the right place. Who knows who ends up drafting him? But are we talking about a package where he plays 15 snaps on offense, or are we talking about he plays 5? I don't know. Like, what's that? If it's 15 snaps, I think he can have a huge impact on the game still offensively. I'm not just saying do jet sweeps with Travis Hunter. I'm actually talking about some routes.
Yeah,
here.
right. He knows how to run a route. You don't have to just do like gimmicky nonsense.
What about the part where she said there was Lindsay Rhodes talking to Zach Gelb on the Zach Gelb show, where she mentioned, hey, NFL owners, they want to sell some tickets. Could there be an owner? And the only owner I can think of, Jerry Jones, would be the owner. We're like, no, I'm telling you, he's playing offense.
You'd have to move up to get him.
It would have to be like Jerry Jones would do that. Would a Mark Davis in Las Vegas? Because I think the Raiders might end up drafting him. Would a Mark Davis be like, hey, we're in Vegas, entertainment capital of the world. He's playing offense, Pete.
Yeah, I think that there's a good chance of
doing
that. Honestly, a pretty fun way to do it. And again, some of this is about selling tickets. Like if you're in Jacksonville or Vegas, Vegas doesn't have trouble selling tickets right now.
Travis Hunter feels like such a Jacksonville pick, doesn't it?
Not that any.
I saw Jordan Reed came out with one for ESPN, and he has him going to the Patriots. I don't think Robert Kraft is letting him.
I mean, Travis Hunter with Drake
both,
May, and you signed Cooper Kupp in the offseason, and all of a sudden Drake May has Cooper Kupp and Travis Hunter as a special package. Yeah, I mean,
him and Christian Gonzalez.
I don't hate that.
It's a good combo. It's a good fit. I'd say that. Not that we're surprised by this, but it's official. Devontae Adams has been cut.
There you go.
By the New York Jets. They'll save $29 million, have an $8 million dead cap hit, and he'll be a free agent come next Monday during the legal tampering period. He'll probably be one of the first people off the board. I'll warn you already. One of the teams rumored to have interest in him is the Chargers.
Yeah.
Let him have another weapon for Los Angeles.
It's, he's still a very talented receiver. I don't want to say it's not an impact. At this point, he's no longer like, oh my gosh, top 10 wide receiver. I don't believe he's that anymore. He's a top 25 receiver still though in the league. So it's a huge addition. Same teams. New England, I would have said the Commanders before the Debo trade, but New England, Washington, Buffalo, Chargers, those are all teams that should be very interested. I don't have any interest in him coming here.
Oh, and Kansas City?
Price-wise.
I guess I'm not even like, it's weird. Like, I don't even feel like that's part of the conversation in a lot of ways because I don't disagree with you. I don't think I don't think he's a fit here. I still think Devontae Adams is a very talented player. I still think he can put up some really good numbers. I think he was completely hamstrung by a miserable quarterback situation this year in New York. The year before, he put up like 1,300 yards. He's great still, I think.
Ari Mirov on Twitter just posted the screenshot. 140 days ago, October 15th, it's on the Pat McAfee show, 3-box screen. In the middle, it's Aaron Rodgers with a little smirk on his face. In the background, it's Devontae Adams saying, I'm here. And everyone's like, oh my gosh. Yeah, that turned out to be absolutely nothing for everybody involved in that.
Yeah, they got
at the time weren't they also not
they got
playing
set
good
further
anyways?
back.
Yeah, they were already screwed at that point.
It wasn't even a net zero out of the Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams. The Jets also said they'll let Alan Lazard seek a trade because he came across in the Aaron Rodgers stuff just like everyone else. I mean, it makes sense, but also like if he goes to the Chargers, that's the only one where I'm like, ooh, I don't love that because I still think Devontae Adams got more juice than you do. So, like, I still think he's got some real juice, and, like, him and Herbert, I'm like, that's... And Ladd, like, Devontae Adams, Ladd McConkey, and Justin Herbert, that sounds... And Harbaugh got that defense back to so much more respectability. That sounds like a dangerous team to me.
No, he's 32. I'm not saying he's going to have 500 yards or something, but I think he's a 1,000-yard receiver.
How much would Devontae Adams cost compared to DK Metcalf?
I don't know what does Spot Track have a projection? That's a good question. I don't even know.
Because I think compared to DK, because obviously the Chiefs are in on DK. I mean,
maybe
you don't have to give up a pick to get Devontae. You have to extend DK Metcalf. If you're interested in DK Metcalf, why wouldn't you be interested in Devontae Adams?
I would be because I don't have to give the draft pick.
He's 3 years old,
but
4
the
years
truth
old.
is, I'm not interested in either. Like,
I still think Devontae Adams is better than.
I do too.
DK Metcalf is a fine wide receiver, but Devontae Adams is better than he is. Even now.
I would agree with that. I would agree. Is it going to take a multi-year deal to pull off? I'm out. At 32 years old, I don't want to give him a 2 or 3 year deal. If it's a 1 year deal, we've discussed this before. 1 year deals, it's hard to complain about any 1 year deal in the NFL for the most part. I was trying to look on Spot Track if they had a projection for him. I'm sure they'll tweet one out here, Mike Giannetti over there, because I would be really interested.
$30 million a year, probably, like it or not. Even though he's 31 years old.
So out on that.
It's probably
DK is certainly not that much, obviously.
Are you sure?
But if you're
How much is DK Metcalf
Are
in
you
an
sure?
extension?
Top wide receiver, Justin
Look at the average wide
Jamar Chase is going to
receiver
get
number.
40, dude. Like
I
I don't
know,
think it's
but-
crazy that Devontae's getting 30.
DK, what do we say DK was? 20? Like he was
29.
He's not getting paid $30 million, is
He's
he?
getting paid between 25 and 30, I'd guess. I don't think it's any lower than
T. Higgins
25.
might get paid 30.
But
T's what? T's
T is nowhere close to what Devontae Adams was.
No,
at
I'm
his
talking
peak.
about DK.
They're about the same. Why is T better than I mean, other than age now, why has T. Higgins' career been better than DK Metcalf's? They're both like 1,000-yard guys.
Devontae Adams has had 1, 2, 3,
DK's
4,
doing it all by
5,
himself.
5 straight 1,000-yard seasons, and he was 3 yards away from making it 7 straight, actually.
DK?
Devontae Adams.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But he's the better of the three.
I
might be career-wise.
I
Maybe
was
not
just
now,
trying to
depending on
see-
your opinion, but yeah.
Trying to see what his contract projection was. Look, I think the reason why we bring up the Chargers, the Bills, the Patriots, the Commanders, these are all teams with a ton of cap space. So that for them, $30 million a year, yeah, they can pull that off. Like the Commanders have a rookie quarterback. That's why they were able to trade for Debo. The New England Patriots have a rookie quarterback. They need wide receiver
I assume
help.
they'll call Devontae Adams too if they can convince him.
The Commanders make the most sense because they're ready to win now. Even if the guy's 30, just bring him in.
I just wonder if can they do that again? I mean, if they're going to trade for Myles Garrett, I don't think they can also sign Devontae Adams and already paid Debo. But maybe that'd be a hell of an offseason if you told me the Commanders traded for Debo, traded for Myles Garrett, and signed Devontae Adams. Oh, I mean, they're going to be everybody's sexy pick to go to the Super Bowl next year.
Most likely.
You know?
We'll see which way they go with it. We come back. Should we give away some free Z-Mans?
Yeah, let's give away a free Z-Man. Obviously, you guys heard the news earlier today. Joe's KC going to be at Kauffman Stadium beginning opening day. So you'll be able to get a Z-Man sandwich while watching Bobby Wood Jr. play baseball. That sounds like a pretty darn good combination.
Sounds like a nice
We'll give away
day.
a Z-Man for the rest of the year. Coming up next, plus we'll check in with Josh Vernier, our Royals insider.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Guys, could you benefit a little extra in the bedroom? We all could. Blue Chew can help, whether you're dealing with erectile dysfunction or you're like my upstairs neighbors and you want to get it on at any time of the day. Look to Blue Chew. Your partner wants you to do whatever it takes to make your sex life better. Blue Chew is your secret weapon for the bedroom or wherever you decide to get it on. Blue Chew is an online prescription service, so no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. And it ships right to your door in a discreet package. Turn oh no into oh yes with Blue Chew. Blue Chew's licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. If you don't like swallowing pills, that's no problem because Blue Chew's tablets are chewable. You probably take a pre-workout or have a coffee before training, so why should sex be any different? That's why more guys are turning to Blue Chew. Ready for a great offer? How about free? Go to BlueChew.com and get your first month free when you use our promo code KFNZ at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code KFNZ to receive your first month free. Then you'll be ready to chew it and do it.
College basketball is reaching its most exciting stretch of the season. Right now, new customers on FanDuel get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 wager wins. That's $150 extra bucks to bet on everything from conference clashes to tournament upsets to even who you think is going to cut down the nets. You guys know I like my Missouri Tigers, and I got a feeling this could be the year that they make a deep run in the tournament. So don't wait anymore. And if you've been waiting to join FanDuel, there's no better time than the present. The app is easy to use, and when you win, you'll get paid instantly. So visit FanDuel.com/KFNZ, use my promo code, and get in on the March basketball action. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issue is non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after street restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement Kansas Art Casino, LLC. Gambling problem. Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Honey, it's me, your wife. Spring is here, and our house desperately needs the experts at Powell Exteriors Casey for siding, windows, entry doors, beautiful decks, patio covers, roofs, and more. Get ready for summer at PowellCasey.com.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or on third-party delivery platforms.
T-Mobile home internet is all about speed, value.
What you doing, Zach?
I'm rehearsing. There are so many benefits. You got to talk fast.
T-Mobile home internet ranks #1 in customer satisfaction for home wireless internet by J.D. Power.
Wow, you are good.
Try singing it. T-Mobile has price lock.
They won't raise your rate on internet.
Hulu and Paramount Plus on them.
Get T-Mobile home internet all in for just $55 a month with autopay and any postpaid voice line.
Additional terms apply. For JD Power 2024 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Tim collects bobbleheads. A lot of bobbleheads. Baseball bobbleheads. Race car bobbleheads. Little Chihuahua bobbleheads. He's got an entire room strictly for bobbleheads. Does he need them? No. Is his wife mad about it? A little. But Tim works with Empower, and he got good at money. So he can be a little bad. Ooh, horse bobblehead. Classy, Tim. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Start today at empower.com.
Spring is finally here, and so are spring projects. So get them started at Harbor Freight's parking lot sale. This weekend, save on products like pressure washers for $69.99, 42-inch roller cabinets for under $500, plus 30% off Hercules corded power tools. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight. Valid until 3/9/25 while supplies last. Limitations apply, so spring in before it's over.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and, in rare cases, fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
The technicians you can trust with your house keys. Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Coming up in 8 minutes, we'll talk with our Royals insider Josh Vernier. We'll talk about the roundtable event that's going on at Hollywood Casino later on this month. Just announced that earlier today. Q&A roundtable. Michael Massey, Kyle Isbell, all going to be part of that. A nice meet and greet afterwards. Plus, we'll all be there hanging out. It's Friday, March 28th. That's the day after opening day. 6 o'clock start time at Hollywood Casino. But we teased it before the break.
Yeah, let's give away. So earlier today, Joe's Kansas City Popeye, which we obviously appreciate, and some members of the Royals, and they said, hey, there's going to be Joe's KC over in right field this year. You guys should probably know that. We're like, yes, that sounds great. They dropped off sandwiches for us, but they also gave me this card gold, and it said free Z-Man for a year. And then it had one a week.
Oh, yeah.
For every week of the entire year of free Z-Man. And we said, hey, we'll give it away later in the show. So we'll make it pretty simple. Caller number 10 to 913-586-7965. Just as long as you can. Do we want to make them guess anything? We'll just do caller number 10. I'll be nice today. 913-586-7965 can get free Z-Mans for a year. Then I got to actually get this to the person in promotion so we don't I don't lose this.
Yep.
Feels like I might lose this otherwise, right?
Yeah, do not throw that away accidentally.
Just keep track of that. Accidentally throw it away into my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. What happened? I mean, no, I'll make sure that the person who wins it actually gets it.
Z-Man's out at Kauffman Stadium beginning on opening
How'd that
day.
Z-Man treat you earlier?
I mean, I'm full. I
Eat the whole thing?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some extra onion rings I had.
Oh.
Yeah, we put some out there.
Plucked a couple of extra onion rings off the top?
Rob grabbed one. There was one extra sandwich out there. He's like, you guys eating this? I go, what? We don't need to have multiple ones in the middle of the show. Otherwise, we're going to be burping the entire show and belching. So
I asked the guy from Joe's, because we were joking about doing the 999 challenge, right? The 9 beers, 9
yeah, I
hot
bet
dogs,
Sam loved
9
that.
innings. Yeah. And then he said the most he'd ever seen someone eat is 2.
Oh, it's a lot of food, man.
He works very happy at Joe's. He's like, 2 is the most I've seen. That's it. So either way, hope you enjoy your
Good
freezing
luck.
mints for you, whoever wins.
Congrats.
We got a winner.
Yep, we do. Steve.
Steve.
That sounds made up. Drew's going to just keep it for himself.
Steve where?
Good names,
Steve
anybody?
from where?
Steve?
Steve from where, Drew?
From where? From I don't know, actually.
What?
816 area code is all.
Well, that doesn't really narrow it down.
It does not.
Steve from the 816.
Congrats to Steve. There you go. We'll also get to the random question of the day in the 1 o'clock hour. But I want to talk about the franchise tag deadline a little bit in the NFL. So that's, again, 3 o'clock this afternoon. We know Trey Smith is going to have the tag officially placed and everything like that. But that's just the deadline to have it take place. And out of Minnesota, the latest is the expectation now that Sam Darnold will not be tagged. We all know what he did last year. We all know they also a year ago drafted J.J. McCarthy. And no matter what happened, even before the J.J. McCarthy injury, Sam Darnold was going to be the week 1 starter. Well, then McCarthy gets hurt, and it was clear that Darnold was starting the rest of the season no matter what. He also played great until the last 2 games.
He would have never lost the job for whatever it's worth.
Right.
If he just continued to play that way and J.J. McCarthy was healthy, he would have never lost the job, but yeah.
Yeah, and Adam Schefter's reporting that Minnesota is still interested in working to re-sign Darnold, but he's going to hit the open market. That's the expectation. That changes everything. I mean, if I'm the Vikings now that I'm not tagging him and there's no possibility of a trade and the only deal I can do with him is clearly going to be multiple years, well, then he's done. Like I would not bring Sam Darnold back on a multi-year deal if I'm Minnesota. I was interested in, hey, I'll pay you on a tag 1 year or I'll trade you and we'll hold off. Now you might as well just go full go with J.J. McCarthy. And that means it's open season for all the teams, the Giants and Raiders that missed out on a trade for Matthew Stafford. And
He now have a qualified starter.
He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, so I get it. But if I'm the Raiders, I'm very interested in Sam Darnold. That, to me, is who they should go after. I don't believe with where they're picking that they can get a quarterback unless they trade up. So, to me, I'm drafting maybe a Travis Hunter type, but I'm also acquiring Sam Darnold. And I have Travis Hunter with Brock Bowers and Sam Darnold, and I roll with that next year. And I know in Kansas City, we're like, oh, I'm not scared of that. That's not the point. It's just Pete Carroll, I think, was brought in for 3 to 4 years of being stable, not in a laughing stock anymore. That's what Pete Carroll was brought in to be.
Yeah, and Sam Darnold prevents you from being a laughing stock this year. And Sam Darnold is the perfect, and I do mean perfect bridge quarterback. You can both, in my opinion, Gold, sign Sam Darnold and draft Shedeur Sanders. You can do those things in connection with each other. It actually makes a lot of sense. Sam Darnold, you signed to a 2-year deal. 1 is pretty much guaranteed. He starts. And then if it goes real haywire and Sam Darnold turns back into a pumpkin, hello, Shedeur. And after a year, you turn it over to Shedeur again. And this sucks for Sam Darnold a little bit.
I think he's going to get $2 million, or not $2 million, 2 years guaranteed. It'll be like a 3-year deal, but I think in order to get him, because there'll be competition. I think he's going to be able to get 2, essentially fully guaranteed years out of the 3.
How old is he? Because that's part
Sam
of it for
Darnold
me. Is he still
27, man? That's it.
I mean, it's not bad. I mean, I would think that the most
he'll be 28 before the year starts.
I would think that the most likely landing spots are either the Giants or the Steelers, in my opinion.
You don't think the Raiders are in on him, huh?
I mean, I just feel like in their perspective, they're picking high enough in the draft. I wouldn't be there. So are the Giants. Giants would be in the Cam Ward business, certainly. I just feel like where the Raiders are picking and I get your point, like their want to be relevant immediately and how getting Sam Darnold kind of does that. I don't know. I'm not ruling it out by any means, but I don't think he's a Viking. And I also don't understand the people who are being really critical. Like, I can't believe they're letting 4,000 yards and 33 touchdowns go. This is the plan all along. I'm sorry.
They drafted J.J. McCarthy.
And look, and if Sam Darnold gone on to win the Super Bowl or balled out in the postseason or won that final game against the Lions and then pushed them into an NFC championship game, this conversation might be different. He might very well be tagged today. He might already have been tagged, and they would be slow walking the rest of this. They spent a high first-round pick on J.J. McCarthy with the intent of, let's get through 1 year of Sam Darnold. It went way better than they probably predicted, and then we'll turn things over to the Rook. And so the plan is working, in my opinion. And you'll still get something back in the comp pick formula, depending on what Sam Darnold signs on the open market. Not a lot. That's the only thing that you and I were a little surprised by, that they wouldn't just tag and trade him. But I pointed out to you, I don't think it's hard to underestimate. There have been so few, it's like 10 tag and trades in the last 20 years. It's something we discuss more than it actually happens. It's like a thing where but you could do it, but it happens so infrequently you actually shouldn't like put it on the table very often, because more often than not, if you're tagging a guy, he's playing for you.
Yeah, this would have been the year, though, just because of the weird circumstance of, like, you had the backup coming that looked good, and you drafted the guy the year before. But I'm with you that if you're not going to tag him, I don't see why you bring him back on a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal if you're Minnesota. So he's going to end up either in, the Giants, the Raiders, the Steelers, I guess. Hell, if you're the Steelers, when you've rolled out, Kenny Pickett recently, last year was Russell Wilson / Justin Fields, like, Sam Darnold might be the best quarterback Mike Tomlin's had since the heyday of Big Ben before he was a statue the final year in that final playoff game against Kansas City that he played in. Like, Sam Darnold could be that. It sounds silly to say the name, but based on his performance, might be the best quarterback Mike Tomlin's had in 7 years.
Not better than last year of Rodgers, I'd bet.
Or Roethlisberger.
Or Roethlisberger, yeah. Better than last year of Roethlisberger.
I mean,
better than anybody's had since
Rodgers,
then.
I guess, could still end up in Pittsburgh, too. So, but Sam Darnold being
Is he
out
gonna
there.
take that headache on?
I think he could handle it, though. You know what I mean? Like, he could get it in control. Like, he's not going to let you come in and run over him.
I think the only way that Aaron Rodgers has success next year is if he goes to a coach who just give him no leeway. That's why the Giants, in my opinion, are a horrible fit. Dable will do anything to save his job, which means he'll let Aaron Rodgers run over him every single second, Gold. And if he doesn't go to a coach that, like, let's say McVay before they had brought Stafford back, or in the previous one you'd mentioned with the Steelers with Tomlin, like, he needs a coach who it's like, in the building, I'm the man. And every single person in this building knows it, not you, Aaron. You're here to play quarterback for the Steelers, not mess around. I did see the report earlier today from one of the national NFL guys that said it is still more likely that Justin Fields is the starter there than Russell Wilson. And so,
yeah, I think they're done with Russ. If we're playing musical chairs here, Russ could also end up in
Vegas. Yeah,
he could end up out there, and Rodgers or Fields or Darnold, and that's fine. Yeah, fine, that works.
I don't care.
Pete Carroll will bring some stability, and they won't be embarrassing. But I don't think Pete Carroll's elevating them to being a true contender. But maybe they're right in the conversation of still being a team that can beat you any given week. You're just not putting them in the same categories as where some of these top teams or anything like that are in the AFC. We're going to talk some more football in the 1 o'clock hour today. We'll get back to that. But I want to talk spring training baseball, our spring training coverage on 96.5 The Fan, brought to you by Park & Go, KC's premier airport parking destination. We go out there and welcome in Josh Vernier, our Royals insider. He's got his Hot Stove show coming up on Friday or on Thursday night. And we announced on Friday, March 28th, Vern, you've got a Q&A roundtable out at Hollywood Casino.
Yeah, looking forward to having a chance to sit down with not just Michael Massey and Kyle Isbell, but hopefully thousands of Royals fans to recap Game 1, hopefully a Game 1 victory for the boys in blue, and share the stories of what's going on inside the clubhouse, the outlook for 2025, and really introduce these guys that you just watch on the TV, hear in snippets after the game. You guys know Kyle Isbell, Michael Massey, just as good men as they are ball players, so it should be a great time.
How many Z-Mans for you this year, Vern? We had the folks from Joe's drop off the Z-Mans because they're going to have those out in right field. I know you're up in the press box, but over under 10.5?
Well, do we have the price? I'm sorry to be this guy.
Yes, we do. You get the Z-Man with the side of onion rings for $20 if I heard them correctly.
Under.
Too steep for you, huh?
Yeah, a touch. Since I'm eating throughout the game, so the price for the press box meal really is unlimited, and that's a lot cheaper. So
but it's not a Z-Man
up there.
That's no Z-Man.
True, but still, if I have 9, that's still quite a bit, and we're hitting
81 home games once every 10 games. You get 8 games. You get down there, get one. I told Alex I thought it was more like 3.5, right. 4.5. Like I thought it was probably more in that range. You pop down there when you're like, I want a Z-Man and I'm gonna go get it.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to. Because I would imagine other, when the out-of-towners, right, the beat writers from Detroit and Cleveland and every single freaking city that comes through, everyone's going to have at least one because it's going to be recommended by everybody else in the press. But I might hit the over, actually. I don't know. The more I talk about it.
I think you'll have more than you think because let's say you're a fan and you make it out to 4. A fan makes it out to 4 or 5 games. They might have it 2-3 times. Their ratio is going to be way higher than yours.
All right, let me just be honest.
if I can get a deal. That's I mean,
okay.
This is I've made a lot of good relationships around that stadium. I'm really hoping it pays off.
There you go. There you go.
That I think we could possibly work out. We were talking about Salvi earlier, mostly from a can he maintain this level of play, Vern? But if he can, how long does that mean he's in Kansas City? So Salvi still got 3, 4. How many years left do you think for Salvi? And is there any concern that his play is going to fall?
Well, it'll eventually fall. Because Tom Brady, LeBron, that's about it. I think Salvi certainly has another 3 years, I would say, in Kansas City. But I don't think he finishes his career in Kansas City. He jokes that he wants to play until he's 45. I don't know how much he says it with a smile and a wink. I think he's playing coy, though. I think he really wants to play until he's 45. I think general managers will allow him to play until he's about 39, 40, depending on if he wants to, bounce between, AAA and the big leagues at the tail end. And he loves the game. I talk about it all the time. I can't praise him enough. It's wild to see him continuously being the loudest, the most energetic, the guy that seems to be having the most fun. He strikes me as the Brett Favre type, where you're going to have to tear that freaking jersey off of him, and he's going to go kicking and screaming. I'll tell you this. You would think this year it should be easier to give him more DH time. We talked about yesterday just how well Freddie Fermin's playing. The guy was up for a Gold Glove. He has earned some extra time behind the dish. Salvi has been cognizant of what it's going to take to get into the Hall of Fame for quite a while. I really think it's organizationally that they think about it. When Q's having a conversation about Salvi DHing, playing first base, catcher, when they're making that decision, I do think the thought of, am I hurting his Hall of Fame chances? Bounces around in those coaches' discussions of how we're mapping out the week. Now, obviously not to the detriment of the team, because Salvi's play is warranted a start a day. But if we start to see those offensive numbers slip, it's going to be very difficult. Top to bottom, from John Sherman to J.J. Piccolo to Matt Quatrero and all the coaches around him, it's going to be tough to remove the other C from Salvador Perez's chest. He's always the captain, but is he the obvious catcher day in and day out? When that conversation starts to happen, I think that's maybe when he starts to have wandering eyes. We all know the love that he has and the appreciation that he has for this organization, but he loves the game more. I think he'll reach enough numbers, the 300 home runs. The Baseball Reference page already speaks for itself. I think he'll be a Hall of Famer when his Royals career ends, but I don't think his appetite for competition and the opportunity to play the game that he loves, I don't think that craving will be completely satiated by then.
I looked at Yadier Molina, and he played till he was 39. And at 39, that season wasn't all that impressive. He probably should have stopped when he was 38. But that's kind of where I'm putting Salvi. 38, 39 range, that's to me the benchmark. I think he plays at least till then.
Yeah, another 4 years, right? He turns 35 coming up in a few months. If the over-under is does he play when he's 40? I'll say yes. Does he play when he's 41? I'll say no.
Vern, what stood out more to you in the game yesterday? Obviously, spring training games, we've got to be careful with the lessons they teach. Well, was it more impactful that Sam Long got rocked or that Daniel Lynch looked so good?
Well, rocked in that Josh Young hit a 108-mile-per-hour line drive right back at his head. It first hit his throwing hand, his left hand, but it did carry him off of his noggin, so we'll get an update tomorrow on that. That, to me, would be the big story if it is something long-term where Long's going to start the season on the IL, because we were just talking yesterday about this bullpen maybe being the strength of this team, maybe being good enough to offset the 180 quality innings you're losing from Brady Singer. But your point about Daniel Lynch is correct. Very efficient yesterday, very confident, but also a very carefree Daniel Lynch. Being a part of a winner last year, even though it was coming out of the bullpen, he was always someone that, understandably, had big goals, a lot of desire, maybe struggled at times with confidence, but he knew, I'm a big leaguer. He knew I'm a starter. And like a lot of Royals pitchers that went through that Matheny, Eldred era, started to build up a little bit of a wall of mistrust at times. I think that's been completely broken down now. The confidence is still there, but I think there's a touch bit more selflessness and humility there with Daniel Lynch. It'll be interesting to see how they handle him moving forward. He got up to 3 innings yesterday, again pitched very efficiently. Do they give him that 4th inning? Do they continue to stretch him out, or do they keep him around, 40, 50 pitches? And maybe I likely won't have that answer for another 2 weeks, as he's still in this competition with Chris Bubich for the 5 spot. But, the tea leaves continue to point towards Lynch being in the bullpen, or Omaha stretched out as the first one called up if and when is needed, because Chris Bubich has looked every bit as good as Lynch. But, yeah, great point, Cody. He did impress the coaching staff yesterday, but I still think he's in that 6th spot in a 5-man race.
Who would get Sam Long's spot if there's any kind of long-term effect from the injury?
Yeah, I think, I don't want to be negative about this guy, because I am, but he's earned it. Carlos Hernandez is a guy that's out of options. I think injuries could help him stay in the organization as inventory. But again, like we talked about yesterday, if Alec Marsh is right by the end of camp, I would much rather see Alec Marsh's arm in the bullpen alongside of Daniel Lynch rather than Carlos Hernandez. But you guys have heard it countless times for a number of years. This part of the season, when you're in a market like Kansas City, you do value depth and inventory and options. So that could be a saving grace for Carlos Hernandez, who, with all due respect, he's had an outstanding – he's been in the big leagues for a while, and that's kudos to him. But, I'm not interested in seeing that anymore. I've fell in love with him. He broke my heart way too many times. It's just him and I are so done.
Other than, I guess, Wilson out there for glove day and trying on some new cool gloves for Bobby Witt Jr., what else has stood out from him in the last 24, 48 hours?
Man, this is corny, a lot like how I feel about Salvador Perez, but I just feel like it's my duty to express to people that everything you think Salvi is, he is. It's not just God-given. The guy's been the hardest worker for a dozen years. Yeah, I got to do something similar for Bobby Witt Jr. It's always amazing to me, and throughout these spring training games, I'm looking elsewhere. I'm looking at how invested a guy is in the dugout in his teammates. I'm watching the hustle that they put in these inane workouts that they've been doing since they're 6 minor leaguers and little league and whatnot. Those are the things I'm looking for in spring training. That's why I'm so impressed with Salvi. Bobby Witt Jr., when in the dugout, it doesn't matter what happened, who scored, what the score of the game is, what inning it is, who's paying attention. If a run is scored by the Kansas City Royals by some 18-year-old Bobby Witt Jr., runs to the front of the dugout, gets to the top step, and he is always the first person to welcome fill-in-the-blank Royals player to the dugout. And then a great moment yesterday, Salvi hits a hard ground ball to the shortstop, and he's hustling down the first baseline. Not 100%, but I wouldn't want Salvi going 100% right now. The shortstop overthrows the first baseman, and Salvi rounds first because he has to, and goes to second to take the extra bag, take the extra 90 feet on the errant throw. Bobby Witt Jr., knowing that Salvi's about to be removed from the game, gets to the top step on the other side of the dugout, with a water for Salvador Perez because that's the longest he's seen Salvi run all spring. So a big grin on his face. And, the Bobby Witt Jr. that picked up the Samad Taylor game-winning ball in center field and ran in like the little kid from the dugout, he's the same guy even after a runner-up finish for the AL MVP. We got two of the best in Kansas City, and like you guys were talking about earlier, let's pray there isn't a work stoppage because that could rob you of the final year of Salvi and the prime of Bobby Witt Jr.
I'd be so pissed at baseball for
Do you
doing
think,
that.
real quick,
Everybody would.
Real quick before I let you go, do you think it's pretty much inevitable though that some games are getting missed in 2026
Definitely.
or after?
Sadly,
2026?
yes.
Yeah, that sucks.
Definitely.
Ugh. All right, Vern, appreciate it, man. We'll check in tomorrow.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
There you go. That's Josh Vernier, our Royals
depressing.
insider. Yeah, that sucks. I mean, that's Vern who's locked in with the sport. He's like,
Everyone just accepts it. Like, yep, sure is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
By the
we
way,
got some time till we got to be miserable with that. But in the meantime, obviously a lot of exciting stuff going on, including Vern's got his station event, 96.5 The Fan, his roundtable with Michael Massey, Kyle Isbell, hanging out there March 28th. That's a Friday night, 6 o'clock at Hollywood Casino. It's the day after opening day. It's going to be, I think we're going to have a huge turnout for that. It's going to be a ton of fun.
I think it's going to be a great time. Really looking forward to it. We'll continue to remind you about that, so keep an eye out for any more details that might change. But yeah, the event's going to be awesome by all means. He had said in there that him and Carlos Hernandez are done. I didn't want to give you guys, I only got the smallest of updates from Desmond and his love life.
Oh.
It's been, 2 weeks since Valentine's Day?
The 14th or
But
whatever.
about a week and a half since kids exchanged Valentines.
Mm-hmm.
Desmond was ripping his backpack open yesterday on his way inside. I mean, wouldn't cross the street
He
from
was
the
excited
bus.
to open it up.
So excited because his lady friend made him a Valentine on paper. So I'm going to guess that this is not a store-bought Valentine, as in she made one specific for him. It said, "I love you, Desmond." It then had a drawing of a caricature of what appeared to be a person winking, making a kissy face. That's the best.
Wow.
So we have not slowed these two down at all. Even though the teacher's
the
now
cards,
trying to
the cards are fine as long as they're not doing the
It's
other.
not it was a hand-drawn piece of paper that she had cut into a heart. She had put some work into it.
That's better than what got him in trouble, I guess is what I'm saying. The last time,
The
you
paper,
know?
if you're drawing it at the paper, we're okay. Because now the teacher's onto him. He's got to be, it's time to.
The fact that he did.
We got to cool things off, and they're not cooling things off.
The fact that he opened his backpack up immediately when he saw you to show
he was
you.
very
That's
happy
great.
He was very happy.
That's
to show
great.
it.
Coming up next, reminder, our spring training coverage, by the way, on 96.5 The Fan is brought to you by Park & Go, KC's premier airport parking destination. We're going to get to the random question of the day. And thinking of the Royals, there was apparently a name they were interested in, but wanted a few more bucks. We'll tell you who that was and why. It's a good thing that they did not sign him yet.
Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Follow the station on Instagram for ticket giveaways and behind-the-scenes content from the show at The Fan 965.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold once again, telling you about our friends over at Centric, and we've all been dealing with this brutal weather in Kansas City. Maybe you work outside, and look, you've just had enough. Well, you can start a brand new career with our friends over at Centric, because they allow you to advance your career on your time with their flexible schedules.
You choose your curriculum, go with that new career path, and stop worrying about what the weather will do for you. Call our guy, Russ Mondry. He's been with Centric for 16 years and will be with you to guide you every step of the way. Go to Centric.com now.
98 years. That's how long Overhead Door Company of Kansas City has been repairing and replacing garage doors. Locally owned and operated since 1927. Headquartered in Olathe. Always look for the iconic red ribbon of the genuine, the original Overhead Door Company of Kansas City. For same-day repair service 24/7, call Overhead Door Company of Kansas City, 816-221-0072. Or schedule online at ohdkc.com.
Men, this is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health. The one you love is the light of your life. And if you're like most of us, you want to do whatever you can to nurture your relationship. But if you're suffering with erectile dysfunction, you know the impacts the condition is likely having on you and your partner. ED is a relationship destroyer. It can contribute to depression, distancing, conflicts, and even breakups and divorce. And what's so disturbing about this is that most men who suffer with ED can be successfully treated, but a lot of guys don't seek treatment when they should. At Heartland Men's Health, we have protocols that are effective in well over 90% of cases. In fact, if you're like most guys, you could be having great sex within a day or two of your first appointment and maybe find you're performing like you haven't in a long time. So call Heartland Men's Health today. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices, Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City.
Has your home been on the market without success? An expired listing can feel frustrating, but it doesn't have to be the end of your journey. The Sharp Homes team specializes in turning things around. Contact my friend Dawn Sharp if you're looking to buy or sell a home. Dawn and her team are brokered by Epic Realty, and they've sold over 150 homes in the last 12 months alone. Plus, they can give you options. If you want to skip the showings and open houses and go straight to sold, you can do that with their instant offer program. Google them at Sharp Homes Team or visit them at homesforsaleInKC.com.
This is the story of the one. As a quality technician in a food processing center, she knows that making the right call is the best way to avoid a recall. That's why she trusts Grainger's world-class supply chain to deliver the high-quality supplies she needs to help keep her production line, her equipment, and her customers happy and healthy. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When something happens to your kitchen, you might say,
"This is ludicrous."
but that won't fix your home. That will only get you the rapper, Ludacris.
Having trouble? Don't panic. Don't be alarmed. You need to file a claim? Holla at State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
That's right. You can file a claim on the app or call us.
Thanks, Mr. Chris.
No matter how ludicrous the situation, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
State Farm, Bloomington, Illinois.
Empower. Tim collects bobbleheads. A lot of bobbleheads. Baseball bobbleheads, race car bobbleheads, little chihuahua bobbleheads. He's got an entire room strictly for bobbleheads. Does he need them? No. Is his wife mad about it? A little. But Tim works with Empower, and he got good at money, so he can be a little bad. Ooh, horse bobblehead. Classy, Tim. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Start today at empower.com.
Spring is finally here, and so are spring projects. So get them started at Harbor Freight's parking lot sale. This weekend, save on products like pressure washers for $69.99, 42-inch roller cabinets for under $500, plus 30% off Hercules corded power tools. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight. Valid until 3/9/25 while supplies last. Limitations apply, so spring in before it's over.
Listen to Cody and Gold every day at 10:30 for the Fiery Hot Sevens contest, where you can win a $30 instant scratch ticket, and one person will win the grand prize, a Bobby Witt Jr. autographed jersey and framing. All thanks to our friends at Kansas Lottery.
Hey, it's Vern. Catch me every day with Cody and Gold at 12:45 for a live update from Arizona as I'm with the boys in blue at spring training. This is your home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan, KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, in Odyssey Sports Station.
What's trending?
It's only 1 o'clock, Drew.
We'll get to what's trending in a half hour. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Do you guys want to just call it a day? You know what? What Carrington come in at 1:30? I still think he owes us from the time that we traded that shifts, and I felt like he was making it a huge pain to get our end of the bargain.
That was,
and we got ripped off. We gave up an hour on a Friday of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right.
I was editing the Matt Miller interview, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we're about to play that coming." I totally lost track of time.
We'll get to what's trending in about a half hour, and you'll hear our conversation with ESPN's draft analyst Matt Miller coming up after that as well. That Drew was getting ready, and we asked Matt Miller about the left tackle spot. He said he thinks there are 5 names in the draft to keep an eye on. We also asked him about who could be a replacement for Nick Bolton if they do not retain Nick Bolton. So that's coming up a little bit later on. Also, what's coming up later on this month, Basketball Madness coming to KC for the NAIA Men's College Basketball Championship, March 20th through 25th at Municipal Auditorium. 16 teams, 15 games, 1 national champion. You can bring the family for nonstop action and affordable tickets. Get yours today at NAIAHoops.com. CareNow.com. So we were talking Royals with Vern there a little bit. We didn't have time to ask him about the report from the New York Post around Adam Duvall. So Adam Duvall, veteran in the big leagues, 36 years old. Last year he played for the Braves, hit just a .182, 11 homers, 30 RBI. And the New York Post reported that the Royals were in contact with Adam Duvall's representation, and they were interested in signing Adam Duvall. So much so that they offered him $1 million to have somewhat of a role. He's an outfielder, could come off the bench, could maybe provide them a little pop, even though last year was not good for Adam Duvall. But the report says that Adam Duvall said, hey, give me $3 million or I'm retiring. And so he's still a free agent, and maybe things change for all parties involved. But what it tells us more than Adam Duvall individually, which is like, fine, dude, if you want to retire, go ahead and retire, is that the Royals are still looking and have been looking all offseason and are clearly worried to some extent about the outfield situation.
And that's why safety net, a little comfort, you know?
And that's why they've tried India, and they're trying Massey, and they're getting work for those guys to see if they got enough. And if they don't have enough, mid-season, well, I don't know if it's Adam Duvall, but maybe there's a move that has to happen.
Better than Adam Duvall.
You know, there's a trade acquisition maybe in the middle of the season or something like that. But $1 million versus $3 million, as you said earlier, like, okay, we're talking about $2 million, but also like the numbers that he's asking for numbers based off of 2 years ago, man. Like you're what did I say? You're 36 now. He made $7 million in 2022.
Look,
you're never getting anywhere near that again, man.
They made the right choice by walking on this. Come on. Of course they made the right choice by walking on this. Why pay him $2 additional million for a guy who gets on base and a career 280 clip, 290 clip, and was doing even worse than that last year? He's 35 years old, and it's cool. If Adam Duvall doesn't want to play because it's not worth it for him to put in the work and do all that stuff for $1 million, but it's worth it for him to do it for $3 million, I don't hate that. That's cool. I get it. I respect it. That's fine. No one's making you do it, so that's cool. But yeah, the Royals, that also speaks, I think, a little bit like, so you can take it two ways. Are they interested in the safety net in the outfield? Yes. Are they desperate in the outfield? No. Gold. They're definitely not desperate. Desperate would have been like, pay him the $2 million. Like, they went for the lowest conceivable rotational 40-game option on the market, and he wanted a couple of extra $1 million, and they were like, we're good. So they're, in my opinion, Gold, their level of desperation, relatively low considering because of that, right? Like, if they
they're
were
going to try
really
the
desperate,
options in-house.
Yeah, if they were really desperate to, like, move off of Massey or India in left or MJ Melendez or some of the other available options, by now they would have probably already have made a stronger move. There are other people available. There are people as good as Adam Duvall. Or if you were interested in Duvall, you could have just paid him the extra $2 million. He's pretty much always been a 40 or 50, 60 game player anyway. So, like, I don't think they were trying to start him or anything. I just think that they wanted a safety net.
Their hope right now, barring a mid-season acquisition, is that they have numbers at the lack of offense, you know, right? If Michael Massey or Jonathan India or Melendez or Renfroe, some of these guys struggle, Isbell, if they struggle to hit, that they've just got enough that somebody's, you know, are all five guys not hitting at once kind of thing? Like somebody is going to hopefully solve that problem. Now, if that's not the case, then the issue that we think might exist clearly will be true. And if they're competitive still at that point in time, they will need to make some type of move in season. Right now, they're going to go with the plan clearly of, yeah, we think if Melendez, first of all, we're hoping he's the guy. But if he's not, well, then let's see if Massey we can get some playing time out there because we need his bat. Or same thing applies to India. We can't take him out of the lineup. Or, hey, we can't take Michael Garcia out. Maybe he happens to be hitting well. We can't take him out. Let's move him to center field or left field because he's getting some center field work.
Here's a couple of innings for you, Duvall, while we figure it out.
I think that's the plan heading into the season, clearly. And the simplest way for this is MJ Melendez just figures it out. But there's a lot of reason to believe that that's not going to happen.
And again, you and I both agree, and we can talk maybe more about him tomorrow. Michael Garcia will be the guy left out in that situation, and Michael Massey or Jonathan India will play more third base. Although, again, there's still questions. I think Massey can play third fine, but there are questions about his arm, I guess, over there. And I don't think, like, I've asked Massey about this before. I don't think he's, like, trying to pretend like he's got an absolute laser beam, you know, Bobby Witt Jr.'s arm over there. But for the most part, we're talking split seconds. Those are the things that you accept in the trade-off, just as long as you can field the position. A lot of that is, I always feel like that's a harder switch than going to left because it's on the ground and the ball's coming off the bat different. But I just think there's going to be more movement than we're used to, Gold. I don't think they know what the rotations are going to look like at second, third, left, and right yet. And I think we'll have to get later into the season before we fully discover that, don't you? Like, I don't think they know. I think they're going to get into the season, and then they're going to start seeing how this fits, seeing how it works.
Yeah, that's why they're exploring so many different
That's
options.
why Duval.
Yeah.
It's like, how will we want the Chiefs to do it left tackle? Anybody, please. Bring them all in. Mix them up. See what works. And at the outfield position, that's actually right. They got no production out of the outfield last year. None. Zero production.
How confident?
Like, overall.
Left field is one thing because we know the issue of consistency from MJ Melendez. Right field, are you more confident that Melendez figures
Renfroe.
out, or that Renfroe just has a more all-around season? Yeah, exactly. He's just a better player, right? Like at this point in time.
10-year big leaguer for a reason. I'm assuming
And
10 years,
so
probably close to it.
I think Renfroe's going to have a better season. I know everybody is a little down on him, but I actually think Renfroe has a better season. The question mark and where the team could take a whole other step forward, is MJ Melendez figuring it out, and so they don't have to do this little shuffling around of India and Massey in left field. But Hunter Renfroe, there were stretches last season where he was really impressive. Then he had the weird toe injury or whatever. He's down, sounds like from Vern 10, 15 pounds or so.
Yeah.
He, of course, is going to be given a decent leash, too, because of the financial element to his contract. We all know how bad it had to get for Hunter Dozier many years ago to get cut and DFA'd. Hunter Renfroe, I think he'll end up being with the team the entire season. I don't think it's going to ever get that ugly this year to where you're going to be talking about Hunter Renfroe being Hunter Doziered.
I think that's what it would come down to. But yeah, I just don't think that's going to be the case. Let's get to a random question of the day.
Random question.
For you, Drew, for you, Gold, over in the text line, 913-586-7965. YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook. You can like, subscribe over on YouTube or Twitch. That way we pop to the top of your feed. You see when we go live. We obviously live stream all 3 shows, all 4 hours for each show. Love to have you over in the video streams as well. Over on the text line earlier. This one's not about this, so I'm proud of myself. Someone was like, over under 2.5 more mentions of death in this show before we get to the end. I was like, hey, relax.
Well, Jerry Jones got a mention, yeah.
Yeah, Jerry Jones definitely got one. And then earlier, drug dealing talk was there. That almost could have been a random question. But instead, I'm going to ask you about if this happened to you. All right, so about a week ago, overseas, a couple of thieves swiped a wallet. The thieves who swiped this wallet, say they stole yours, Gold, swiped this wallet, went and bought some lottery tickets. One of those lottery tickets was worth $520,000. This is a true story, right? So like, okay, it's worth a lot of money. You're like, whew, man. Thieves can't turn it in because they know they stole the card, therefore they can't do it. Thieves are offering half. You interested? If right now they stole your card, they say, hey, you agree to give us half, we'll give you the lottery ticket. Otherwise, we're just going to, you're just your best guess. You're going to have to find us, catch us, and get the lottery ticket and get possession of it and then turn it in yourself because it was your card. Are you taking half from the thieves?
Yes, because I'm never getting that.
Stole your card.
Yeah, but you're
just giving my wallet back.
But you're not getting that lottery ticket otherwise. So they might give you your wallet back without the ticket. Oh, I'm taking the lottery win. Yeah,
so
sorry. I will forgive you.
So you're taking the $200,000.
Yep,
you're like, it's cool, thieves.
Yep.
We're all good. We're partners now.
Absolutely.
We're in this together.
Yep.
Even like, what if they said half and you have to agree not to press charges personally?
Yes.
You're in too.
Yeah.
You're just letting these guys get away with crimes?
Absolutely. I'm splitting that. In that kind of crime, if they stole my wallet and bought a, let's just, for the sake of this conversation, a $2 Powerball ticket or Kansas Cash or
this
something.
This one was worth $523,000.
Okay, $523,000. Yeah, absolutely. I'd be like, that's fine. Give me the lottery ticket. We'll go ahead and split this. Absolutely. Because otherwise, you're never getting the ticket,
It's really
Cody.
hard because I'm never getting the $523,000. So if I just say, hey, no charges pressed, the second I got that but I want to be the person who turns the ticket in and we're going in together.
Correct.
We're signing it together. We're going in together. You already stole from me. I'm not risking like, oh, I'm good for it. You're not. No. You're not good for
Here's
it.
why you also have to split with them. They stole your wallet. They know where you live. What's to say if you didn't take all the money, they're going to come and just rob you?
Oh, again?
Months down the road.
They're going to come back and rob you again?
If you don't split with them, I think you got to split.
It was unclear in this story whether they took by force or just, were
Someone says, I'll set up a sting, set them up when they meet and have them arrested. I said they stole my lottery ticket.
I think you should be, I think you could, I think you're in a good negotiating The only problem is because you don't have the ticket.
Yes.
I actually don't think you're in a strong negotiating point. Because if they said 25%, I'd be like, I'd offer 50. I'd want 50-50. But if they only offered me 25% of that, am I turning down $125K? I don't know if I'm in a good position to argue
But they also
that,
can't. They also can't claim the ticket, right?
No, because then the cops will know who they are.
But how would the cops know?
Because they know because the lottery, when winning tickets like that, it's matched to the ID, so they know the.
Yeah, but I don't show my ID when I buy a lottery ticket.
The card that was used, so they know the
They pay
lottery
with cash
ticket
or with a card.
The card. They
Oh, well,
stole
then
the
they can-
card.
yeah.
They know. Yeah, they know
Okay.
the lottery ticket that was purchased with that card. If you go turn in that lottery ticket, they're going to know that you're the thief.
By the way, I'll tell all of you listening: if you steal my wallet and you are then you win a prize for $100,000 or $200,000 or $500,000, you're allowed to take my wallet right now if you can come back to me in a month and say, by the way, I turned this into $500,000. You can steal my wallet every single day of the week.
From the 785, Cody asked if someone steals my wallet and offers me $200K to give it back. It's like,
that doesn't seem all that bad.
It's like
I've never had my wallet. I've lost a wallet, but I've never had my wallet stolen.
Every time.
Someone says, BS boys, got pickpocketed at Wrigley Field, was a complete nightmare. Press charges. Yeah, but did you get pickpocketed and then they came back and said, by the way, we won $500,000 with that? That's the difference here. Again, I'm not saying to let someone steal.
I'm still mad at the pickpocket, but if they're coming here with $250,000 and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We could probably work that out.
If you don't agree to it,
Plus whatever they spent.
There's no guarantee.
I want half, but if they spent like $300 at the grocery store, I want that too.
Fine. But
I want to be made whole.
Because the idea of like, oh no, just I want to bet the likelihood of you even getting any of your stuff back to begin with is small. You might as well just make the deal here.
So 2 different times. I've never had my wallet stolen. So like I'm lucky enough to avoid that. But twice I've lost my wallet and I couldn't believe it was returned. One was not my wallet, it was just cash. I had a money clip after I'd been working restaurants and I had like $500 in it. I dropped it. Oof. And I was walking down my street in the one I lived, and it just said, found, money clip. You're going to have to describe it. That's what the sign said. Just on like the pole outside this guy, the light pole outside this guy's house. And I call him like, is it this one with this amount of cash roughly? And he's like, that's the one. I was going to go pick it up, offered him some cash as a reward. He wouldn't take it.
Yeah,
I eventually left a gift card in his mailbox.
This text, maybe they missed the beginning of the story because this text says, you guys think criminals have morals, LMAO. No, this is a real story where somebody stole somebody's wallet and they used a credit card or debit card.
And the thieves are offering half.
They won a lottery ticket, or they bought a lottery ticket and won, and they're saying, hey, we'll split this with you. This is not about the moral. Like this is a real scenario that's presenting itself.
They're offering you a scenario in which you can set up the terms in order to turn it in.
Cody did not make up a scenario where you get your wallet stolen and they win the lottery and then they come
weirdly
back.
specific scenario for me to come up. The second time was even more remarkable. I was picking up a friend all the way up in Michigan from college. He needed a ride back. He didn't have a car. Drove all the way up to Michigan. In Chicago, I dropped something by the toll booth back when you used to put things in the toll booth.
Mm-hmm.
So I opened the door to grab it, dropped my wallet at a toll booth in Chicago. So lost.
Chicago.
I go through all the places to return it. Like a week later, some truck driver shows up at my door and has my whole wallet for me. Turns the whole thing back.
Are you serious?
Dead serious. He's like, I found this in a toll booth in Chicago. Thought you might want. I'm like, he's like, and I was driving this way. I'm like, the hell, man?
I was driving this way.
Driving this way. Just gonna pop by. Drove my whole. I was like 19 years old. Brought my whole wallet back from Chicago. So I'm just lucky. So I'm getting the opposite problem.
Yeah.
Breaking news, not that it really matters. Now, again, Adam Schefter, Eagles are rewarding Saquon Barkley with a 2-year, $41.2 million contract extension that makes him the highest paid running back in NFL history. $20 million running back. That's the first time in NFL history. He'll have a chance to earn an additional $15 million in incentives and escalators. The deal is $36 million fully guaranteed. And a rare step toward extending Barkley on a 1-year into a 3-year deal. That, I've got to be honest, he was a great player. He was absolutely one of the biggest
he's the only reason why they're in the Super Bowl.
But I would not sign that contract. Like,
I don't know, man.
If I were the Eagles, I'm not giving running back $20 million a year.
There's exceptions.
Yeah.
There's
He is an
exceptions,
exception.
right?
I will admit that. He's an exception.
Normally, I would 100% agree. He's an exception. The dude had 2,000 yards rushing. He's going to be 28 next season. Is there a chance in the final year that it's not great? But like next year, He's going to, I don't know if he's going to have 2,000 again, but he's not going to have 900 yards next year all of a sudden. Like,
unless he's hurt because he's a running back.
Sure. But that thing is like, yeah, sure. The history of running
Less
backs.
likely than other, more likely than other positions.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think he's the exception to this, and Saquon next year.
I think we said that about Christian McCaffrey is all I'm saying. And now all of a sudden that contract don't look so good.
Yeah, but Christian McCaffrey still, it was overall with the initial one, they got, 3 years out of him before it became bad? Because they restructured it.
When they traded for him, they got more out of it.
And then they restructured it right before last year. I think that's what it was. You're right.
So last year, and look, Saquon's been a pretty healthy player. Last year, even though he was hurt, he played in 14 games still. He had less than 1,000 yards, but their offense stinks. He played in 16 the year before that, 13 the year before that. Then he had the season where he was really hurt and he only played 2. And then 13 and 16. You're right. If you just think he's
like Christian
exception,
McCaffrey, man.
okay.
Christian McCaffrey's contract's not that bad. He's making $9 million this year. I know he's coming off an injury, but that's not.
Making Christian McCaffrey's looking cheap all of a sudden.
Yeah, but $9 million's not like devastating. Then next year, it's 9.7, and so they can get out of it for 8.7. So they would just keep him. But like the only time it's bad in 2027. When he's 31, Cody, there's a $25 million cap hit. He's never going to get that dollar amount, Christian McCaffrey. So I actually don't think we've now overcompensated for like running backs, and there's exceptions to these type of deals. Like I think it's honestly, as much as we say it's foolish to give running backs some money, I think it's almost foolish at this point in time to say though that we haven't seen the difference for guys like Henry, Barkley, and yes, even Christian McCaffrey. Those are the 3 exceptions here that I'm willing to give more money. I'm not going to do that for random running back. Of course not.
I mean, look, I get it. Their offense runs through him. It's, again, like you said, they're not in the Super Bowl without
2,000 yards.
This feels, even though he's better than this, so it's going to sound like a bad comparison because he's a better player than this, especially positionally. It feels like the Flacco thing. Like, you're going to pay him all this money because you got there, but it's like, you could just ride out the 1 year. He's a running back. What if something catastrophic happens? And I know the Giants are probably kicking themselves and saying, we should have kept Saquon. I get it.
Because
I
maybe
understand.
Saquon might have said, hey, by the way, like it didn't get to this point publicly, but like, hey, I need more. His agent might have said, hey, it's time. I'm not going to show up to camp.
Saquon,
we don't know. Like,
I don't blame Saquon for going to the table and getting more. Saquon's agent killed it here. He got him a 2-year, $40 million extension with 36 guaranteed with an additional $15 million he can earn through incentives, which are probably, presumably, 2,000 yards rushing or Super Bowl wins or playoff wins or all the other stuff. It just feels risky. I'm not saying it's the worst deal I've ever seen. It's just feels risky with running backs.
The cap went up again. The cap went up again. He set the Eagles single season rushing record. He set the NFL record for scrimmage yards. Like, yeah, he's gonna get paid. Like, I mean, he's the exception to this whole thing. I mean, if you were breaking NFL records, you might get paid a lot of money, no matter what position you play. And that's where I think the category this falls into.
Yeah,
changed their entire offense. He changed everything for them.
No, they were a decent team last year. Let's not pretend like they started with like 11. They were like 11-1 or something, and then they kind of fell apart there towards the end. I totally get it. I get it for all the reasons. Like, if you could guarantee me he's healthy, hell yeah. And I know that you're just like, well, he hasn't been like he's been hurt, but not like it's not. Played in
16 games, 14 games, 16 games the last 3 years.
I'd mentioned those a second ago, and it's like, I'm not saying he's like the guy can't get on the field. I'm definitely not saying that. More, it's just like the history of the position is like it would just terrify me if I were GM. I'm like, damn, I'm gonna pay a running back. Oh, like Todd. I just remember and look, Saquon's different than that.
But everybody
Todd
just
Gurley
crushed
was the best running back in the league for like 3 years, and then at 27. Couldn't walk anymore. And I'm just like, I'm always scared. I'm just always terrified of it.
But we just all made fun of the Giants 2 months ago for not giving Saquon the deal this past year.
And it's only 3 years total. And you and I both know if it's 3 years total, it probably means it's really 2 years total, right? And you can get out in the third.
Yeah, what's the guaranteed
with
money?
A dead cap hit, and we'll see where the contract lands and all that other stuff. And so, it's probably not as bad as I think. It's just like $20 million a year is not. What's the second highest paid running back in the NFL per year? Christian McCaffrey, I assume.
Probably.
Like he's maybe making $9 this year, but what's the average annual per year of running backs? It feels like he's making double what anyone else is.
Well, he's that much better right now. I mean, like he overall is that much better. They probably can get out of this deal before he's 31 years old, so it's not that bad.
A running back, that's ancient. And I get it, but average per year before this deal. $19 million for Christian McCaffrey. So they made him slightly higher paid than Christian McCaffrey. Next highest, Jonathan Taylor at 14. And so, like, and before that, it was Saquon at 12. He was already the third highest paid running back in the NFL, and now he's the highest paid, obviously. But it's like, look at some of, so like those 3 guys, Jonathan Taylor, if you paid him, that's concerning. Kamara, Jacobs, it's like some of the guys that have been paid, and they're not as good as him, I know. But just
I was going to say, who should be worried about this is Buffalo. And I'm not saying James Cook is Saquon, but James Cook just quote tweeted the Adam Schefter with the eye emoji. Remember, James Cook said he wants $15 million a year is what James Cook wants. So Buffalo's that would make him just in front of Jonathan Taylor. So there's a chance James Cook becomes the second, if not third, highest paid running back in football here. And now he knows what Saquon's getting.
He's got to go above Jonathan Taylor, but he's probably got to ask for less than Christian McCaffrey or
so $15 million a year, I guess, puts him right there.
And like 25 to 30 million. The difference, 36 is $10 million more than any running back got guaranteed. So that was a lot in the guarantee department.
Remember, guys, we were not that far away from 2 years ago, 2 off seasons ago, where Austin Eckler was complaining and these running backs, oh my gosh, we need to have a NFL PA needs to step
Shorten
in.
their contracts.
These running backs just get so
but
mistreated.
if you mention he's the exception, it's like no one else is going to get paid that.
No, but this past offseason, James Cook's about to get paid. This past offseason, Derrick Henry got paid. There's no like that. The running back market is good now. Like if you're actually
probably because they
one
shift
of the top
in the league, people care about running backs again.
Yeah, I mean, we just said the Chiefs need to get more explosive at running back.
Mm-hmm. So it's just been more because everything's moved closer to the line of scrimmage. People have been utilizing it more. Is part of it. Yep, that's fair. I mean, I get Saquon's. I mean, good for him. 2 for $42 million extension. Woo! Kudos. Saquon.
He got out of New York. He got everything he wanted: money, and he got the ring. I mean, life is pretty darn good for Saquon Barkley.
He really crushed that, didn't he? Yeah. Left New York. Got paid a huge stack of cash and won a Super Bowl. Man, a pretty good turnaround for Saquon.
Yeah. Up next, we're going to get to what's trending. And then we talked with Matt Miller, draft expert for ESPN. We asked him about the tackles available for the Chiefs and what could they potentially do at wide receiver. Is there an option along with linebacker? All that coming up next.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
At Shane Company, we know getting engaged is a big decision. But once you know, you know. That's the way our customers feel when they choose a Shane Company engagement ring. They walk into a warm welcome and walk out with their dream ring, knowing they got it right. For almost 100 years, we've been offering personalized shopping experiences. And we're in it way past the honeymoon, with a free lifetime warranty that includes the center stone, cleanings, repairs, and resizing for life. Shop with us at shaneco.com or at your neighborhood store. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out?
It's Spruce, the new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day. Find Spruce wherever weed killers are sold.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out, so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to the A to Z savings event at AutoZone.
Yeah, happy to be here. Can I get some rotors?
Would you like brake pads with that?
How much are the brake pads?
Free with the rotors.
Free. Really?
Really, free.
Okay, I also need some oil.
Would you like an oil filter with that?
Yeah, how much is that?
Free with 5 quarts of oil.
Free? Really?
Really, free. It's part of the A to Z savings event.
You might as well call it A to free.
At AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Business taxes. Was stressing about all the time and all the money you spent on your taxes.
This is my bill?
Now Business Taxes is a TurboTax small business expert who does your taxes for you and offers year-round advice at no additional cost, so you can keep more money in your business. Now this is taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com/business. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service.
For more than half a century, contractors and trade professionals have relied on WeatherGuard for heavy-duty truck and van storage equipment. Not just to protect their tools, but to protect their professional reputations. Whether it's inside or outside of work vehicles, a WeatherGuard badge means pros can trust that their hard-earned name is in good hands. Since 1968 and every day since, WeatherGuard has been protecting anything it takes to build a professional reputation. WeatherGuard, established in 1968, proven every day. WeatherGuard.com.
This is the story of the one. As a quality technician in a food processing center, she knows that making the right call is the best way to avoid a recall. That's why she trusts Grainger's world-class supply chain to deliver the high-quality supplies she needs to help keep her production line, her equipment, and her customers happy and healthy. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. What's trending?
What's Trending is presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. We just got done talking about maybe the news of the day in the NFL. That's that Saquon Barkley and the Eagles have agreed to a 2-year, $41.2 million contract extension. Makes him the highest paid running back in NFL history. We'll have to see the exact structure of that. It doesn't mean that he's guaranteed for 4 more years necessarily, but well-deserved increase in pay for Saquon Barkley, who had over 2,000 yards rushing. And the Eagles got to keep doing what they're doing. As Spot Track's Mike Giannetti just tweeted out, the Eagles extend players a year before we all think they should. Keeps their cap fluid, controllable, rewards players, so they're happy, and it's noticed by every player and agent throughout the league. It's no accident that this contract was announced a week before free agency. So that's part of Howie Roseman's game right now.
Yeah, makes sense. Obviously, they like to get in there and just make sure that they're comfortable with their guy.
Literally, they're like the reverse and anti-Cincinnati when it comes to this.
Yeah, pretty much. They pretty much pay their guys when it's time to pay them and then try to avoid it before the number goes up too much. Next up on What's Trending, speaking of NFL news, Davante Adams was cut by the Las Vegas Raiders. This is an expected move.
Jets.
Jets. Sorry, we were just thinking he might go to the Raiders, or he was in the Raiders before. By the New York Jets. This is an expected move. It saves the Jets $29 million on the cap this year. They'll still be responsible for an almost $9 million cap hit. But Davante Adams is a free agent. Most NFL people just feel like he's going to the Chargers. I don't know if that's the case, but a lot of people who think he might land there. Ladd McConkey, Davante Adams, and then Justin Herbert. We'll see.
Next on What's Trending, last week there was thought that Hard Knocks, which is produced by NFL Films, would be following around Bill Belichick and North Carolina Tar Heels this year. Not the case. That has been shut down. The deal fell through, even though some of the camera crew were already on campus there in Chapel Hill. It sounds like NFL owners, according to Front Office Sports, maybe not happy that they were going to not have an NFL team featured. But again, no NFL team wanted to do it. So no Belichick following the Tars. I told you, last week I wasn't all that interested in seeing Belichick around a college program from that perspective. Yeah. But I don't know. Hard Knocks, we've all agreed, I think at this point, it's not what it used to be anyway.
The offseason one made the Giants look so bad that pretty much no teams agreed to do it. So that's why they tried to go to the college level. And now the NFL teams are mad they went to the college level. You all didn't want to do it. And we're about TV and content and money making. Kind of weird, honestly, this deal fell apart. It sounds like it kind of feels like it fell apart because the NFL owners were mad and went to college, as you mentioned. Next up on What's Trending, reigning AL Rookie of the Year, Luis Gill's been shut down for at least 6 weeks with a high-grade lat strain. He had some discomfort before his bullpen session last Friday. He's going to be shut down for the next 6 weeks at least, according to their manager, Aaron Boone. Tough early season loss for the New York Yankees, and they got to hope that it's only the 6 weeks part of it, because lat strain, pitcher, after all the innings he tossed last year, I'd be scared as hell. He's not going to pitch, 15 starts this year for me.
Next on What's Trending, earlier today, we announced here at 96.5 The Fan, our Royals Roundtable. Vern's going to host that Q&A and meet and greet. He'll be joined by Michael Massey and Kyle Isbell. It's going to be at Hollywood Casino the day after opening day. That's Friday, March 28th. It starts at 6 o'clock. Hang out there, learn a little bit about the team some more, and obviously a chance to mingle with Massey and Isbell, plus everybody from the station is going to be out there. Free, open to all listeners, so we hope to see you guys out there coming up later on this month. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, it'll be a ton of fun. Obviously, the Q&A part will be fascinating. you get a chance to meet a couple of current Kansas City Royals players, guys who were on the playoff team last year. So, plus, as Vern mentioned earlier, they're both great guys. Like Massey and Isabel are like super likable dudes. So you're going to have a great time interacting out there. Looking forward to seeing everybody at the Roundtable at Hollywood Casino on Friday, March 28th.
That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold. Earlier today, we had Matt Miller from ESPN. He's their draft analyst and insider. Great perspective. He's also from this area. He lives in Joplin. And so we started our conversation joking about the Royals a little bit because he's a big-time Royals fan. And as we were talking to him earlier, that's when the Z-Mans were also brought in the studio. And we appreciate Matt for joining us.
Huge Royals guy. I tell people I'm more of a Royals fan than I am a football fan, I think. It's a nice break, right? Like, and it lines up with my schedule. So, yeah, very excited about the news this morning that we can get a Z-Man in right field.
I think it's because, like, you get to be a fan of it, is some of it, Matt, right? When you're closer to it, it's harder to be a fan of it. By the way, our guy Sam Mellinger's in, I think, to maybe talk about that sandwich, so he wants to say hi.
Yeah, he says hello.
Sam's my guy. I love him. I can't wait to see him in about 3 weeks. So, yeah, I'm very excited. I could take up my entire segment with you guys talking about Royals baseball and my love for the Z-Man, but I know you probably want to talk about football, so but we'll do that next time.
A little next time.
Now I want one. That's the problem. Now I want a Z-Man, and I'm like, I have time today. I could make it up there and back. So,
well, for your sake, I hope you get it. For the draft's sake, let's talk a little bit with the Chiefs. Let's make the easy conversation first because there's some other national stuff I'm interested in as well. Is there a single left tackle you think the Chiefs would actually draft, knowing some of their stipulations to do it? And just generally speaking, like how many first-round left tackles do you think there are?
Yeah, I think they could do it. Now, that's a great question. How many are there? I think there are 5 potentially. But the thing with this year is I'm going to rip off this list of names. Every one of these players, except for one, teams have talked about moving to guard. So you have Kelvin Banks from Texas, who I think is a tackle. Will Campbell from LSU came in with very short arms. He's probably going to get moved. You have Membo, our guy from Mizzou, but he's a right tackle. He's never played left tackle. Josh Connerly from Oregon, left tackle, but he might be a guard. And then Josh Simmons from Ohio State, left tackle through and through, but he's coming off a torn patella tendon that happened in October. So his return is like, he said he's going to be cleared mid-April. I'm skeptical of that. I hope that's the case, but those 5 guys I think are true round 1 tackles.
When you look at what the Chiefs, like, I know we talk a lot about it here because, like, the arm length thing, how big of a deal do you think the franchises that care about that make it, you know?
They make it a huge deal. They really do. And, you know, I get the tweets from people who are like, I can't believe you care about this stuff. It's like, I care about it because NFL teams do. And if you're a tackle who has 32-inch arms, well, there's just not a precedent for that, really. And I know you'll get folks who are like, oh, well, like, it doesn't actually matter. Kind of does. Like, there's never been a tackle drafted with under 32-inch arms, well, since 1999. And even if you look at the guys who are under, like, 32 and a half, it's like Peter Skoronski, but he's playing guard. Alaric Jackson with the Rams, who just got locked up. He was going to be a free agent. He had 32 and a half. Like, it's a pretty short list when you get under 33 of guys, especially at left tackle, who've had success. So I look at metrics as like, what can help me do my job better? If there's you know, a number out there that says, hey, this is you got to be this tall to ride the ride. So linebacker, I do think at linebacker you can find your Nick Bolton replacement, but it doesn't have to be a first-round pick, especially for the way the NFL is going with this, like those thumpers like Nick Bolton. You don't see a lot of them anymore. You know, everybody's going to kind of this rangier linebacker. I think Barrett Carter from Clemson in round 3, Chris Paul from Ole Miss round 4, Danny Stutzman from OU. Like, I would love him in this defense. He's going to be a round 3, round 4 guy. So, yeah, you can absolutely find a suitable replacement, and it doesn't have to be a top 64 pick.
I think what's happened here locally is fans have officially started they're convinced Luther Burden is falling to 31. The Chiefs are going to take him. They're going to pair up Rice Worthy and Luther Burden together. They're already concocting this plan in which this makes sense. I've seen 10 or 15 mocks that seemingly have him falling out of the first round. Do you think that's going to happen?
No, I think those people are all crazy. I don't know what they're watching. And I say that jokingly because I work with 2 guys who've done that recently, and I love them. But I don't see it happening. And maybe I'm crazy. I actually think we should draft guys who are good at playing football. And for the past 3 years, that's been Luther Burden. And then everybody's like, oh, well, we don't know how fast he is. So what does he do? He goes to the combine and he reminds you how fast he is. And it's like, okay, I know that he's kind of an introvert. He's kind of a quiet guy. That kind of maybe rubs some people the wrong way. But like, this dude's 21 years old and he's been dominant every time you've given him the football. He has NFL size. He's 6 foot, 206 pounds. He ran a 4.41. He did the position drills, unlike a lot of the other receivers. I don't get it. I have no idea. I've talked to Coach Drinkwitz about it. They're like, neither of us can figure it out. So I'm led to believe it's just, I don't know. I don't know if people just have only watched a handful of games from 2024 and that's who they think he is. But I think he's the best receiver in the draft. So if he's there at 31, it's the easiest decision in football.
So, Matt, what range then? For you, it sounds like you think much earlier than 31. Is he in that 15 to 20 range?
Yeah, I think, San Francisco they traded Deebo Samuel. They might trade Brandon Ayuk. I think that's where you start the conversation is at 11. And then 12, Dallas. Dallas needs somebody like him badly. Miami, we have no idea how much longer Tyreek's going to play. I think all those teams, you can make a case. Cincinnati might lose T. Higgins in a sign-and trade. Could you imagine Luther Burden? Never mind. Chiefs fans don't want to think about that. Luther Burden off Jamar Chase? Come on. I mean, they'd still lose in the playoffs, but it'd be a lot of fun. So I love the idea that he's there at 31. I don't necessarily think it's a need. Like, as much as I love Luther and think he would thrive in this offense, that's kind of the Rashee Rice role, and we'll see. I think investing that much in a wide receiver position when your offensive line is terrible would be like, that's the definition of luxury. If you're drafting receivers in back-to-back first rounds and 3 in the top 60 in the past 3 years when your left tackle is terrible, I don't know that I could get on board with that necessarily.
On the national end, just out of curiosity, is there a team that's going to let Travis Hunter play both wide receiver and corner?
I think there's teams that'll try it at least. I think you have to let him fail at it almost, and maybe he doesn't. Maybe he figures it out. And how to do it mentally is the hard part. I think physically he'll probably be okay, but I can see someone like the Giants or the Patriots who are just bad, or the Jaguars being like, we're bad. Let's try it and see. Worst case scenario, we sell some tickets, but let's at least get him out there and see what he can do. Travis is amazing. Like, 4.0 student, loves football. Like, I think from a love of the game standpoint, he wants to do it. Now, let's talk about him, like, saying what he does is harder than Ohtani, I think is wild. There's no way I can get on board with that. But Travis is awesome, and if he wants to try it, I do hope that teams give him that opportunity.
We're talking to Matt Miller, ESPN draft analyst and insider here on 96.5 The Fan. The Combine, I don't know how many of these you've gone to at this point in time, but more and more of these athletes, especially the high-profile ones, are deciding either not to throw up pro day, maybe only do the interview process. Is that just where this whole thing is going? Like, do you think 10 years from now the Combine is still going to be what we know as the Combine today?
Man, I think I've been to 14. I need to probably count that at some point. I've been to a lot, and it has changed a lot. I do think it's unfortunate because from an evaluator standpoint, like, forget the fact that I work for ESPN, like, just from somebody who wants to know which of these players is good at what they do, I wish they had to work out. So I feel like the NFL, the NFLPA, and the agents need to sit down and talk and say, okay, like, we understand, like, your guys need to opt out of some things, but how can we incentivize getting everybody to do a 3-cone or a 40 or like whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, the Combine matters for medicals and interviews. And, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders were still doing that stuff. Marvin Harrison Jr. still did that stuff last year, even though he didn't do anything else. So we'll see. I think for it to change, there would almost have to be backlash from teams. And teams just need good players so badly that, like we saw last year with Marvin, he didn't do anything at all in the process. And he still went 4th overall. So there would have to be a legit situation where you could point to a guy and say, like a wide receiver, Tedero McMillan, nothing at the Combine. Luther Burden, everything at the Combine. That's why Luther goes ahead of him. I think it would have to be a situation like that across multiple positions where you would then incentivize agents. Like, it's really the agents. It's not the players who are like, no, I don't want to do this. It's the agents saying, you have nothing to gain by performing at the Combine. Let's shut you down. And we'll just wait till a pro day or just wait to see what happens in the draft.
Matt Miller, ESPN draft analyst and insider. Man, I got to let you go. You know, you joked at the beginning. I swear when we brought you on, you said, hey, I saw the Royals news about the Z-Man sandwiches. Well, we actually have to let you go because I think some sandwiches are actually in the studio right now. So that actually just happened.
I've never been more jealous. So you guys enjoy. I'm going to sit here and think about how good that would be for lunch today.
As you said, for you, it's only like a 90-minute drive, right, from Joplin. So,
right. I'm thinking about it now. Yeah, you may see tweets of me and KC today. We'll see what happens.
So that was earlier today in the 10 o'clock hour when Joe's and the Royals brought in some Z-Man sandwiches for their announcement that the Z-Man will be available at the K and right field throughout the 2025 season. And obviously Matt Miller there giving us great insight on the draft scenarios and talking about tackle. The thing with the tackles, though, he said there's multiple tackles. Everybody just thinks it's going to be a guard.
Yeah, and one of those 5 he mentioned is a right tackle. So 1 right tackle, 4 left tackles, at least half a guard. I mean, it's the same stuff. We didn't think the Chiefs had an option at 31 anyway. But if it was the year where, like, there are years in which, like, left or really solid right tackles are going, like, 15, 17, 19 because the depth is better and everyone thinks that's what they are, and those first few big names are going early, and it's leaving these other teams with like good corners and good wide receivers they get tempted by. This isn't the year. This isn't the year, which is why you and I had continued to say, bring in a lot of competition. Okay? Just bring in a lot of competition. Find people who will come in here and compete. 3rd round pick, okay. Free agent DJ Humphries, okay. Donovan Smith, who apparently is healthy now, fine. Whoever you need in order to kind of like rustle up a little bit of competition, I'm interested in. I also just think, back to the Travis Hunter thing, a team should just let him do both. The team who drafts him should be the team who's willing to let him try both.
It'd be fun for all of us.
Gets hurt, then no more deal. Like, hey, if you get hurt, we're back to one position.
It'd be fun for all of us. Just as a sports fan, do I want to see him playing corner and wide receiver? Yeah, who doesn't want to see somebody try to do something we've really just not seen since what's his name with the Packers? You know, when he initially was able to do that. Like, it's been a long time.
Even if he gets hurt, are you sure that, like, let's say, okay, so they're saying he plays corner and then he plays some wide receiver. What happens if he gets hurt as a corner? Do you just want him to play wide receiver then? I don't know if there's a way that you actually...
There's probably some that just think the risk is higher.
Well, just like
more snaps,
he's just getting hurt because he's on the field more. I get your point, Drew, but I think it's just because he's like, well, if he wasn't playing all those snaps, yeah. No, it is hard to tell. I'm just saying, like, maybe less likely to do it.
The thing earlier, though, when we also had the audio from Zach Gelb's show, Lindsey Rhodes saying, like, hey, there might be an owner that just says, hey, if we're drafting him, he's playing more wide receiver than maybe you think he's playing wide receiver. You know, like, his primary position, I think everybody universally says, is going to be corner. The question is, how much wide receiver? Is it a package? Is it going to be more than we think? I guess it can differ game to game, too. I mean, his rookie season, when he's trying to master corner, maybe the first, half of the year he's barely playing on offense. Maybe it increases throughout his career. I don't know.
If he were just a wide receiver, where would he go in the draft?
Still
he
top
says, I'm not
still.
playing corner. I am only a wide receiver. Screw corner. I don't even like it anymore.
Top 20?
Yeah, I mean, he's a first round pick.
You think he would fall to like 15?
Yes.
I think, like, on paper, he might be a better corner than receiver.
Which is why everybody says he's going to play only. What if he was only playing?
If he'd be top 20, he's not that bad of a wide receiver.
If he's correct.
He's still a first-round pick. It's like...
Someone says he gets 2 contracts, though. No, it doesn't work that way. That'd be amazing.
You just ask for the one that pays the most. You ask for wide receiver money.
That's why I would play wide receiver, by the way, if I was...
if you were
Travis Hunter. Because there's long-term, through marketing and everything, there's way more money being a wide receiver. Way more money. People like touchdowns and fantasy football, and
the most money is if you can do both. But yes, again, how many teams are going to let you do that? Like, for instance, the Royals have a guy in their system, Jack Caglione. You might have heard of him. He was in college, both a position player and a full-time starter for the Florida Gators. He's not pitched for the Royals.
There's a decent chance he never does.
Yeah, I mean, earlier it's like they were showing me StatCast photos of like where a ball that Jack Caglione hit in a backfield at Arizona went, and dear God, I mean, why would you want to pitch if you can hit a ball, I guess, to the moon? And so, like, if you're looking at it that way, it's like sometimes people don't want to take the risk. But if you are, I think the exceptions we make are when you are exceptional at both. And if you're telling me if he's just a corner, he'd be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, and if he was just a wide receiver, he'd be a top 20 pick in the draft, that's the guy I'd risk.
It is really interesting.
That's the guy I take my chance with. It's not like, let's just do this with anybody. It's like I do it with him.
It's weird, though, because I don't think if you were to ask people who, like, even just watched college football last year, who the best corner was in college football, Travis Hunter was not the best corner in college football last year. It was Will Johnson at Michigan. He's going to go in the teens probably, or he might even slide into the 20s. Like, if Travis Hunter's playing a single position, I'm not sure he actually goes in the top 5 for either of them.
Interesting. You think he might be top 20 for both?
I think he'd be top 20 for both of them. I think the fact that he does both of them and can do both of them effectively well is why he's in the position where he's in. Otherwise, I don't know if he would necessarily be in the top 10 if it was just one of those spots. He's really good.
Sure.
But I just, for a corner, we don't see corners get taken in the top 5, if they're just corners or even
Not
that
unless
many
they're
wide receivers.
the best corners. Like, they got to be like the guys everyone thinks. He measured in the combine at like 6'1", 185 or something.
I think, and Mina Kimes had a really good comment, I think, during the combine on him, is his instinctual ability sets him apart from as to why he'd be such a great corner compared to maybe some other people who are not as talented as he is, for example, where there's a little bit of Trayvon Diggs in him you see in college where he has some ridiculous interceptions. He also might get burnt every now and then, but it's because he's so good instinctually, he thinks he can make every play, which, again, you want a guy with that sort of confidence anyways.
Like, I just,
I mean, if you put him in New England with Christian Gonzalez and on defense, that's 2 really good corners to have on your roster. I mean, their defense is already pretty good anyways. Plus the wide receiver stuff, I think that's an intriguing spot if he does end up going to a place like New England. Not that it makes him, a Super Bowl contender or a division contender.
They also need wide receiver weapons.
Yeah.
He'd be actually, like, if you could choose one team who needed both those things the most, wouldn't it be New England? Like, could actually use his services the most?
Yeah.
Maybe the Raiders.
Yeah, Raiders, Brock Bowers with Travis Hunter getting a special package or 2 on offense, plus he's your corner.
I think the Jaguars could use him too.
If you have a team that your roster is just really, really bad and you're able to get maybe, I won't say 2 positions totally covered because we just discussed that. But if you're able to get 1.5, 1.5 or something like that covered on a weak roster.
Where did the Jaguars pick? 5?
Somewhere like that, right? Yeah.
So 4, 5, and 6, Patriots, Jags, and Raiders. I mean, I'd be surprised if he falls past there. I would assume.
It just depends on if one of those teams at like 6 or 7 jumps up to take Cam Ward.
Yeah, Jags are 5, Raiders 6, Jets 7, Panthers 8. That's
Panthers could also use Travis Hunter too. I mean, how about Bryce Young a little bit?
Bryce
please?
Young with Travis Hunter, Leggett.
If I were Travis Hunter, that's the last team I'd want to go play for. The Panthers or the Saints? Those teams have no hope.
I mean, not that we act like.
Come on, man.
The Raiders,
but like those teams have no hope.
I would rather go to Vegas, but let's not act like the Raiders have been so great. I mean, I think Pete Carroll. At least with Pete Carroll, I know I think there's some level, some standard. You go to the Raiders though. Who's your quarterback? You'll know by the draft most likely. But if you're Travis Hunter, who the hell's my quarterback? Yeah, is it Sam Darnold? Okay, or is it Russell Wilson for 1 year, and then I know I'm going to have a brand new quarterback the next year?
In fairness, if you're a part-time wide receiver, who cares who your quarterback is?
Well, maybe.
That's why I think the Panthers actually is intriguing. Like, if you're looking at best situation,
do they know who their quarterback is? Are they sure Bryce Young starting 17 games next year?
The way he finished last year, I think 100% he's the guy.
I don't actually think there's any question anymore. Like, I'm not saying he's going to be a top 5 quarterback, but like.
You think he's getting 17 games as the starter?
Absolutely,
next season? Okay.
Absolutely. I think the final, from the Chiefs game on, really against like the Panthers Chiefs game on, he played at a top 15-ish level, if not better at times in the league. He was better than a lot better quarterbacks the final 6-7 weeks of the season.
Plus, again, who is he? He was throwing to Adam Thielen. And Xavier Leggett was dropping passes like that. I think they played the Eagles, and he dropped a touchdown pass that would have won him the game.
Thielen's a free agent even. I don't even think he's
so they might not even have him. Yeah. They need a wide receiver in the worst way.
Yeah, whichever wide receiver.
I mean, the Panthers should draft. I mean, they already gave an extension to their running back. So I was like, man, they should draft 2 wide receivers or something like that, fairly high. If you're really Carolina, I don't know what their cap space situation is. Like, could they be a Cooper Kupp candidate? I have no idea.
Or maybe a DK? I mean, you draft
DK
a wide receiver,
Metcalf and Xavier
DK?
Leggett are 2 similar like positions, like in terms of the route tree that they run. I feel like, but I don't know. I could be off.
Maybe Cooper Kupp. That's you were talking about Kupp. Like the handcuff of all handcuffs. Like you want to protect your little guy. Get him a guy who can just like run every little route, run underneath. Like if he can stay healthy, he's actually the perfect choice. If it were that.
Where do the Saints pick? Teens?
No, I just mentioned. They're in the top 10.
Okay.
Kellen Moore's top 10. They have no cap space, so they got to try to somehow hit on every. And Derek Carr is going to be the starting quarterback at least for 1 more year. So I don't know what I'm guessing they'll go. I'm guessing they'll go wide receiver. Don't you? Don't they need some O-line help too? They are a mess. But
who can they cut in order to get under? Even do we know?
They still have Cam Jordan, right? I mean, they could trade him or get rid of him because he's getting paid a ton. Who else are they paying? They already got rid of Marcus Lattimore. They got rid of Marcus Lattimore. Who else are they paying? They got rid of Cam Jordan. They got rid of Cam Jordan. They got rid of Marcus Lattimore. Who else are they paying? They already got rid of Marcus Lattimore. They got rid of Marcus Lattimore.
They were over $52 million at
Holy
last check.
smokes.
Their highest paid cap hit this year, Derek Carr, $51 million. Cam Jordan, $20 million. Taysom Hill, 18.
Oh my gosh.
Eric McCoy, their center, is making $15.5 million. 36-year-old linebacker Demario Davis making $12.4. 31-year-old right tackle making $12.3. And then their guards making 12.
The problem with Taysom
How
Hill
are they
is
this far
Tyron
over?
Matthews
This far
still playing.
over the cap.
Tyron's 33. He's making
How many good
11.3.
players?
he might get cut too. The problem with Taysom Hill is nobody.
Void years of $9 million Chase Young, $6.5 million Juwan Johnson void year.
If they want to get rid of Taysom Hill or trade him, nobody who wants Taysom Hill.
Well, that's the issue. Yeah.
Because that contract wasn't the contract egregious when he signed it originally, like a year ago. I don't know if it was
Sean
a year
Payton
ago.
took care of him. Remember, a couple years ago.
That's why Sean Payton paid him.
That was
He did.
4-year, $40 million contract, which with the cap going up nowadays is not like devastating, but also like he's making $18 million. He's a weapon, but
You can't pay Taysom Hill.
that's just he's also 35 years old now, making $18 million.
Is he that old?
He's almost making as much as Travis Kelce is this year.
I borderline can't
think about
understand.
that. That's insane.
You can't pay him that. Whatever the cap it is to cut him, Taysom Hill is no longer a Saint.
No. We're back at it tomorrow. We're expected to have Cody Decker join us. We'll get his perspective, bigger picture on the AL Central and some of the moves that transpired and how the Royals stack up there. We'll also give you another chance to win that scratcher ticket from the Kansas Lottery. Be entered to win a signed Bobby Wood Jr. autograph frame jersey as well. Up next, we hand things off to C-Dot and Rob on